when people go to build these things, they build them for their peak season. So what I would do is build it for the off season. So meaning you need hot tubs, you need hot showers, like temperature controlled changing rooms, dock heaters, because the peak season is going to take care of itself. You're going to be busy. So build a great facility, but build a facility that can sustain in the off season, and then you can actually stay a little more sustainable.
On today's episode of the Grab Matters podcast, we welcome on a very special guest, Chase Andrews. Chase Andrews has been a wakeboarder for almost 30 years now, and he's had a heavy hand in the development and the continuation of running of Terminus Wake Park just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. We're talking with him about his early days riding behind the boat in Georgia, what the Georgia wakeboard scene was like. We're also talking about how he got involved with Terminus, some of the initial investments that were made into Terminus, the initial plans that were had for the actual venue that Terminus is at, and how that's changed over the years. We're also talking kind of the present and future of Terminus. We're also talking a lot about cable parks and, you know, what it takes for them to be successful, some ideas he has, what he's seen that's worked, what he's seen that hasn't worked. We also get into the video production side of his career, something that he still works with a lot today and has worked with, you know, over the past few years as well. As always, if you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to do that. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's on the Patreon. Your guys' support is literally what keeps this podcast going, so thank you guys so much. Without further ado, let's get into this episode of the Grab Matters podcast.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Frontside, air railing.
A new dimension.
We're back. Another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we welcome on a very special guest, Chase Andrews. How's it going, Chase?
Going wonderful. We got in town yesterday, got to do a little Legoland with Hayes. That was my first time and his first time. So killing it, doing the Orlando thing, and now we get to be here on Grab Matters.
Did you get your Legoland driver's license? Is that something they do?
They do that.
Okay.
We got the picture. We did it. I don't think we bought the
actual.
Yeah.
Well, you're certified, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So you're good to go.
Yeah, solid.
All right. I got three first questions. One's kind of hot. Two are the normal ones.
Okay.
One, wake pants. Thoughts?
Yes, on the cable, if you want, if you're into it. No on the boat.
Hard no on the boat. I like it.
Unless you're West Coast. So if you West Coast boat guys, they always could rock it.
Yep.
The general boat, I'm an old school boat rider. So for me, it's like traditional boat riding. I don't want to have the kid on.
Yeah.
But on the cable, I totally get it. Middle of summer, maybe scale it back a little bit.
I totally agree with that one.
But it's fun. And honestly, I get it. Like it looks like you're out riding, skating, whatever.
Yeah.
It looks good. I don't do it. But I understand the look of it all. So.
Okay.
And I wanted a pair when Shane's Jet Pilots came out way back when.
Yeah.
There was like one guy had it in Atlanta, and I wanted a pair so bad.
You didn't get one, though.
Oh, they're like $80. And
back then, they were $80.
It
That's
was insane.
a tax. It's like $200 now.
Yeah.
Favorite grab?
You're going to lose some viewers right here.
No.
No, I'm sorry. It's old school boat guy. It's not traditional grab, but I love the nuclear. So
okay.
Backhand, reach all the way around. From the gymnastics background, it's hard to do. It looks good if done right. And so if you grab it, like when I was riding, I always did the nuke glide.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, you don't have to apologize.
No, I know. It's just,
apologies
it's not
required
what's cool. So loved it. I love the being able to, like, it just looks great. Reaching all the way around. There's Alex Graydon always did a really, really nasty one.
Sure did.
So, yeah, there you go. Nuke.
I don't think you need to apologize for that one, but I think you might be the first one that's ever said nuclear.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not going to fact check that, but I think you are.
Okay.
Last one. Is Terminus closing?
No. I know. We'll get into that at the end probably, but no, we're definitely, so we're open this next year and actually seeing a lot more light at the end of the tunnel. We just got asked, if you know Terminus, there's the big beach pavilion beside us. That's not a part of Terminus. But we actually just acquired that and got asked to take that on and run that as a part of our operations. So
sweet.
I know. So it's a good sign.
Okay. Well, obviously we'll dive into Terminus towards the middle and end of this pod here, but that's, had to hit him quick with that one.
But were we headed in that direction?
Because there were rumors, people talking.
Rumors weren't wrong.
Okay.
Might not have been right either. So
well, that's typical rumor, right?
There you go.
There's always something to it.
Yep.
All right. Let's dive into how you got into wakeboarding, because you have a boat background, but you also have a 3-event background. Am I correct? Okay. So like, how'd you get into the water sports?
Honestly, so my family history, like we've always been into water sports. So even my grandparents were so big water sports enthusiasts that when, as Lanier up at, in Atlanta was going to be filled, they pre-bought like the land at the right spot so they would know they would have a lake house. And then my grandfather hand built the first houseboat that was on the lake. So he just built a houseboat out of whatever. He was a builder. And so they were passionate about it. On my mom's side, they were water sports enthusiasts. They're like lake ownership, a little bit of boating. But then my mom and dad, both their families, family of fives, all of them water skied. And then they all did show skiing. So my parents met at Callaway Gardens in 76. Both were show skiing. My dad before that had also done Wisconsin Dells, Tommy Bartlett show. My mom's main thing was Callaway. And so when they got to Callaway, my dad had come down, I think, from Wisconsin. He was Atlanta born, but they got together and they were the clowns, show skiing clowns. So and Leroy and Annie Mae getting to do their thing, fell in love. And so, yeah, so we grew up, our family then always water skiing, but it was all like mainly 3 event stuff, but also barefoot, jump, like everything. So, and then my dad was so into it. I kind of grew up skiing with all my dad's old buddies. So I started at 3, I think got up on the little knee board, like old school, literally Cypress Gardens. Okay. Because a lot of my aunts and uncles were Cypress, some were Callaway, so everyone was everywhere. They even started their own Lake Lanier show that's not around, obviously, anymore, but is all family-run Lake Lanier show. I mean, it's insane. I love the old school days. My dad and his siblings had a business selling flat kites. So have you seen the flat kites, like an old ski show?
No.
Where the guys are on like an octagon-looking kite and they have their skis on still and the boat pulls them and you fly that thing?
Okay.
It's like that was a part of the ski shows. And so they were like, we could build these. So they would build these flat kites and we have like old ads from magazines with them trying to sell these flat kites in the Atlanta market. Just nuts. So
wild.
As used to be legal to tow and fly.
They're illegal now?
I'm sure. Probably. If the kite tubes are illegal.
I'm just saying we need to bring those back. That's all I'm saying. Those are pretty sick.
But yeah, so start at 3, start up at Lake Burton. It was my first ride. I think then I didn't do it for 2 years. And then we were really good friends with the Jaquis's. So if you know Regina, Renee Jaquis, our parents were really, really good friends and they lived right near each other. So I had been out for like 2 years, saw them ski, saw the girls ski, and I was like, I got to go out and do it. So got back in the water again at 5, did it again, and then was slaloming by 8. We had a local water ski competition we did at Lake Burton, North Georgia Mountains.
Yeah.
And so we'd always do that. And I got good enough to where I was always competing with my dad head to head for overall. So he would win barefoot. I get second barefoot. He'd win trick ski. They allowed us later in life to do a wakeboard with no fins as a trick ski, which was kind of funny.
Did they do the thing where it's like half points back then, or was it just?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then we would run slalom in our own divisions. And I was not good at slalom, but would do good enough. So we ended up always like 1 and 2 for overall. And later that tournament went away, and me and him started what's the Mountain Air Classic, which we started way later in life, but is still going on today.
Still running today, yeah.
It's the longest running wakeboard event and tournament, or in Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, it's because we started in 2001, so it's on its 24th year.
Wow.
So kind of cool.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. So yeah, grew up, long water sports background, didn't get my wakeboard.
When's the wakeboard coming?
Yeah. So turned 10, and my dad, me and my sister are like 2 days apart. My older sister, she's 2 years older. He buys a knee board and this wakeboard thing. Don't know what it is. And he's like, hey, your birthday's first. You get to choose. I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I'm taking the knee board. Because I was a big knee boarder. Big knee boarder. So I chose the knee board. She chose the wakeboard. It was the single tip, metal top, O'Brien, P18, had phasers on the bottom, 6-inch skeg.
Hit him with the phasers, baby.
It was awesome. And she's lefty, so she mounted it up, left foot forward. I'm goofy. So anytime I'm riding it, I'm riding switch.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what you're supposed to do. So like we're kind of jumping, whatever. I finally get, next board was, there was this guy who used to sell used stuff on the side of the road up by Lanier. So we couldn't afford new. So we'd always buy the used stuff. So I got a Neptune Impala, Badass Flying Fish was the second board. Way too big, 141. or whatever, and I'm 11. So
You're just ahead of your time, Chase.
Yeah. Switched down finally to like a 131 Neptune Impala, and that's like kind of where I really started getting into it. First tournament for wakeboarding was on that one. Literally went out right before the tournament with a buddy, Preston Sutter, and saw him doing these grabs. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I didn't realize you're supposed to do tricks on this thing.
Yeah.
Like I was just kind of riding and jumping. So he teaches me, I think I learned 3 grabs, go in, do the tournament, get second. Cause like no one's wakeboarding back then. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is my sport. Cause I was a gymnast, grew up doing like competing, doing gymnast stuff.
Okay. So
having the thing that I could actually like do tricks and flip and that kind of stuff on was like, I finally found it.
Okay. So I guess what, you're 10, 11 years old, you get into wakeboarding. What's the next 8 years look like throughout high school, I guess?
So get into it somewhat. My parents being water sports enthusiasts, like we would go to tournaments. INT, for what it was worth, like it was so great. Like it was the only thing that was around. So got hard into INT, competing. And then thankfully Ambush was around, then doing, they had their 2 locations. They were heavy in Atlanta, always doing the best, like awesome events. And so getting into that, there was also this props to a guy named Mike Brumlow, who started a website called Wakeboard Atlanta. So it's wakeboardatlanta.com is a chat forum. And it was a thing. Like everyone who was in the industry was on this thing. And so getting to know so the tournaments were posted out on that, videos were being shared. Of course, people are smack talking, everything else as you would.
The internet.
So had that. It was great. So pretty much bounced around doing all the local fun tournaments. My dad was always the announcer because he was a big announcer guy for all the other stuff. So most of them still at that point were doing INT, was doing the 3 event plus wakeboarding. So they were wanting us to go because he was going to go compete. So he wanted to go do his thing. And then I got to tag along and do my thing too. So growing, having fun doing it, get into high school, just kind of keep pushing into it. I think when I don't know when I started actually riding the tour stuff, but I would come down once I did, it was in high school, but I don't remember exactly when. What I do remember was I was young enough, so I couldn't drive. First stop was always in Orlando for Pro Tour. So I'd fly down by myself. My parents were cool enough to let me do that. So I think I was 14 or so, 15 maybe. Fly down. The only hotel is the La Quinta Inn over by OW. And they would pick you up from the airport, and then they had a shuttle service from the La Quinta to OW. So it was like, I can't drive. I can get there. So I'd fly in, stay, do that. And then as soon as I was out of the tour, I never could make it that far. I would then go ride the cable. So that was my first cable experience, was getting to go down, compete doing boat. And then I would go get my trashed like 134, like you rode smaller on the cable back then. You had your boat board, then you had your cable board. So I would take my cable board, go do some laps. So I pretty much would only ride cable once a year after I got out, and then would do the Atlanta stop, Texas stop, and then I think it was Kelowna, BC, British Columbia. And so I would never do that stop. It's like I was do good, like getting maybe the top 50 somewhere in there, and then just it's like not worth. And I was young. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm just not going to go travel and do that one. So we had fun, did the guys. I think Ambush had a few fun, pretty big events that led to some future sponsorships and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so let's, I guess, in high school, I mean, you're going to the Pro Tour, you're obviously traveling there. You have to imagine you're trying to go pro, right? I mean, you're trying to
I saw it. I didn't know what that meant really back then. And that being in Atlanta was so much harder than being in Orlando. Yeah. I knew my dad and my mom. And real quick, backstep too, like, it's pretty badass that, like, my mom was into it on her own. Yeah. So it's like everyone looks at the guys doing it, but it's like my mom was so passionate about water sports that she was there skiing at Callaway, like, by herself. Like, this is what she wanted to do.
That's so cool.
And so there were so many times when my dad would be working, like, my mom would take us out on the boat. And we just had a old 1985.
I was going to ask what boat you guys had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the one I grew up with, I'm still trying to find the exact, I want to buy it back. Yeah. 1985, 2001, ski nautique. My older sister would drive me if the parents weren't around, and we had a bet, not a bet, but it was a deal. I had to land my first flip before we got this fly high, like ski pylon. Yeah. So my dad was like, prove me that the pole's not what's going to do it, but you can do it, and then we'll get it. And so I would have to ride, did everything, and struggled. I spent 2 to 3 years trying to back roll.
It was that long.
Thousands of attempts. Switched to the tantrum. I think my sister was like, hey, try just a backflip, like gymnastics, like just cut into a backflip. Up. And so did it. 3 attempts, landed it. She was driving the boat.
Skyline, baby.
And then it was time to go. So then I was like, I got the pole.
Yeah.
And then it was just so much fun after that. So yeah, he was a skier, so he was never going to get a wakeboard boat.
Yeah.
And so he got, the next boat was a 2000, a newer
I
model.
heard the 2001 actually threw, and maybe the 2002, 2000 as well, threw decent wakes if you put some weight in them.
Yeah. So it's hard to say. The 2001 was like the model.
Yeah.
So it was in 1985, but it was a 2001. It was great. Honestly, like those old school boats.
That's the boat I heard. Yeah. Like it's pretty good.
Specifically the barefoot Nautique had even a deeper V.
Really? Okay.
If you have the old boats. So we ended up getting a closed bow 190, 2000 in on the side Nautique.
Yeah.
He threw a tower on it for me. Had that, but it's a professional slalom ski boat. This thing's not putting out wake.
Yeah.
So had to ride, struggle behind that. So I was always trying to ride anyone else's boat that I could. Very happy to have one, but would ride anyone else's. So going up through high school, towards the end of my high school career, met one of my best friends now, Brad Hedges, I'm out in our cove we're always in. I see a guy with like a 21 LSV, like Respond. I'm like, I want to ride. So I pull up pretending he's someone else. I was like, hey, Brian, pull up. And I was like, oh, no, shoot, it's not. So we got talking wakeboarding in hopes that he would ask me if I wanted to take a set. I just wanted to ride behind a big wake boat. So, and then that kicked off lifelong friendship with that guy. But
sick.
So it was me just trying to pretend like it was someone else.
And it worked.
I knew. Yeah, it worked. So
I love that. Okay, so I mean, I guess we can kind of dive back into the PWT. So you're doing the PWT, and you've done it you did it for like around 10 years, is what I kind of read. But so I guess after high school, you're still doing the PWT events. What do you do after high school?
So, 2003, Christmas Eve, 2002. My dad got diagnosed with cancer, or went to hospital with a big headache. We found out that it was a brain tumor, and then there were also a bunch of lung tumors. So I spent the last bit of my high school life, actually, they moved to Mexico for about a month to go into crazy health stuff, trying to learn about, they couldn't find anything in the States. And so I lived with a buddy of mine. So, and it's that season. So we're going through it. He ends up getting a good bit better. And so at that point I'm really chasing. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen after high school. He was a home builder. His dad had started a lumber yard. So we took over the lumber yard. So we had like a building supply store. He then sold that business and started his own home building business. So I was kind of seeing this entrepreneurial spirit from back then. I start coaching, teaching wakeboard lessons, that as much as I could on other people's boats too. Cause I was like, shoot, all my friends are working like burger jobs or whatever it was. I was like, I can go do one wakeboard lesson, make $100 or whatever it was back then, $75. And so that's when that entrepreneurial spirit starts. And then we come down to Orlando. So I'm going to go hard in. I'm going to move to Orlando, become a pro wakeboarder. Doing the thing. And so as I'm about to graduate, we come down here, check out a house, had a few buddies that were going to do the same thing. And I think we got to the point we put an offer on a house on Lake Willis. And I think it was where Harf was or something at the time. But epic spot. Still wish we would have gotten it because it was just a great setup. We were going to get a goat, have him cut the grass. This whole thing. My sister was going to come with us. And my girlfriend at the time, which I'd been pursuing since third grade, writing her secret admirer notes since fourth and everything. I've been pushing after this girl for a minute. She was going to go to Georgia, and I was going to get into the home building thing.
She was going to go to Georgia.
She was going to go to Georgia. I was going to come down here, do some home building classes, but do the pro wakeboard tour thing. But with my dad being sick, we ended up bailing. So I was like, I feel like I need to stay closer to home, and I kind of want to chase after her. I knew, even at that point, a little bit of wisdom, like this wakeboard thing has a shelf life. So I could chase it, or I can go get started in a career doing something, and I can maybe still do it.
Still ride, yeah.
So I buy a house in Athens, kind of chase after her. I had my roommates or my buddies renting it from me, so I just lived for free, divided the mortgage 3 ways. They paid it. I lived for free. It was great. And started home building, going to school in Marietta. So driving like an hour and a half to go to what's now KSU, was Southern Polytech for home building stuff. So it was horrible. Like out of high school, love wakeboarding, wanted to go do this thing. And all of a sudden I'm in like 4-hour HVAC classes. It sucked. And so I did college for like half a semester. I have to go back and look. It was either half a semester or a semester and a half. And I dropped out.
Not long.
And I was done. I was like, I can either keep doing this or I was going to do residential home building anyways. And so I was like, I'm just going to go to get on the job experience. So I get a job working for a buddy in Athens. And this whole time my dad's dealing with his health stuff. I'm helping them out the best I can, while trying to still live my own life and do stuff too. So we start that. I have the house. I'm kind of starting to do the construction thing there close to Tiffany. We're still dating, talking about what marriage could look like in the future. And he ends up passing away. Get teary-eyed. Passes away 2005. And there's some other wakeboard stuff that had happened at this point. But what the pivoting point was, I come back, I have to get a part for our boat. My dad was such a loyalist, like would always go to the same spot for our boat stuff. And so I walk in to get a part for our boat. My dad had just passed away. And the guy was like, hey, what do you think about coming to work for me? You know wakeboarding, you know people, you know boats. I'll teach you sales. Like, come be we're Nautique now. We're about to be Mastercraft. Come be the main Mastercraft sales guy for Atlanta. And I'm 19. And I was like, all right. And so, because I didn't have this construction path necessarily anymore. And so I still live in Athens. I'm commuting to Water Sports Central. And now I'm 19, selling boats, work. And I've jumped past so much, but we can jump back in. But selling boats, making great money. This was 2006 pre-collapse.
You got a few years there of slinging some boats.
It was great. I mean, I remember a guy walked in, there's price difference on boats. He bought an X80, 28-foot boat.
If anyone remembers the X80, absurd boat. It was insane. I'll put some pictures in.
It was crazy. It was like 105, and he was like, get it under 100 and I'll buy it. I'm like, okay, 99999. Did it, walked, it was like, took that commission check and was like, this is great. And then collapse was on its way. It was living. But yeah, jumping back. I mean, I was riding the tour, chasing it, doing fun, having fun, and pursuing Tiffany at the same time. So that was kind of what was going on. I had gotten sponsored, I think right out of high school, right before high school was done.
Yeah, I want to dive into some sponsor stuff. So
Ambush had this fun big event. I was always doing all their stuff too, but I don't know which came first. If Zane had sponsored me with CWB, or if the rider search had happened.
Okay.
I don't know if you'd seen this.
Yeah.
And that led to it later. I don't remember the timing. I'd have to go see when that Ambush like rider search was. But that was super fun. I got to be involved with that. I was one of the select riders. And so it was like me, I think Corey Bradley was on there, Josh Palma. Palma ended up winning it. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I love the Georgia scene. The Georgia scene of wakeboarding always was so strong, had such good roots, had such movement around it, and such great people in it. And it was hard. So the political side, having to go to those tournaments, no one knows my name really, and trying to prove it, you had to ride double what those guys were riding in order to make it.
So explain that for the people who have no idea, because the tour now is completely different. But back then,
anyone could just kind of show up and ride. And as much as you don't want to, it was very buddy. If like you knew it, they know what that guy can do. They see it, they're stoked on their buddy, and he's doing great. And so you really got to do that much better to really prove yourself and make it through. Because I was great. I was never the best. Had a few moves, not many. Got to get a toe 9 and some things and some 7s. And, and for back then, it was great. Only, I think, landed 1 or 2 in comp, but still was fun to get to do. And now I can't spin on kickers. So I'm so used to the boat wake to spin. I suck at
We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you. But no, so it was great. I loved doing the Georgia scene. There's so much happening up there. Georgia Wake guys. So like all those guys that I grew up riding with, it was so fun because those were my dad's buddies, sons and daughters growing up with. So like Corey Bradley, our parents were good buddies and grew up skiing together. And like now we're skiing together. And now Hayes and James are skiing together. And the Lees, like all those were family friends that we were just continuing to do life with. And that's what I loved about wakeboarding. That's what I loved about water sports. I hated traditional sports. I did some, but not many. Wrestled and pole vaulted in high school, did some soccer. But I just loved being on the water. It's like my dad's like, you want to go to the lake? Oh yeah, I want to go to the lake.
Yeah.
I don't want to go do wrestling practice, or I don't want to go do football practice, get pads on and get beat up. So can I go hang out on the boat with a bunch of my buddies? That sounds much better.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So you touched on the Georgia scene, and I'm fascinated because it seems like it was super strong. You had wakeboardingatlanta.com or whatever that was, but it seems like the Georgia scene has been one of the strongest wakeboard scenes over the years. I don't know what it's like now per se.
Yeah.
But I mean, just explain how many people were wakeboarding back then in Georgia? Like,
I mean, it was pretty massive.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot going on. When Ambush would put on these big events, like it was slammed. I mean, there was so much happening, which is so crazy because like in that world, everyone's doing their own thing. And then but it makes a little sense because like then this is like the family reunion.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to come back together and everyone's stoked to get to come back together, tell stories, do stuff, show what they've been working on. Social media wasn't around. So it's like you didn't know really what was going on, what was possible, what people were doing back then. But the community was always pretty massive.
Yeah.
So
I guess compare that to now, the Georgia Wake community. Do you think it still seems pretty strong to me, but obviously with social media and everything, it's tough with events, but like, does it still seem like a pretty strong scene in Georgia?
yeah, I honestly, that's why I was so excited I know we'll get into it, but start the park. It was something, and I still saw it then. It's like, we weren't the richest of families, but it's like, we still had enough. We were well off.
Yeah.
And well enough to have an old boat. And so it's like, it's a hard thing to get into. And so you either, that's what the cable excited me. Like my dad was a big teacher. He loved teaching people, growing the sport. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it in my own way, do it through wakeboarding. And the cable, I just saw it as like this 1000x fold, like what you could do, the impact you could have and all that. So, but I think that the scene's still great, man. There's so many people still doing great things. I know Ambush isn't really around. They're not focused there anymore, but they were such a staple, such a big part of everything that was going on.
Yeah, definitely.
I was waiting.
No, you're good. We got Chase's grommet in here.
He's trying to
if you
decide
got to
who's
go to the
going
bathroom,
around.
no worries. Just go. Yeah, you're good.
Hayes, and leave the door open.
We got a squeaky door here. I got to put some WD-40 on that. All right, so I do want to talk about some videos because I had a little birdie in my ear tell me there was a little video called Downside Up.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time to find it.
Yep.
Found your part, though.
Okay.
So I guess, what is this video project and how did it happen? Because there were some names in this video.
It was. So it was like this Georgia scene with like one or two Alabama guys. Super fun. I forget. Who's the guy in charge of it? My mind's totally blanking.
I have no idea. Because I got a YouTube rip that just.
Okay. Yes. I mean, same. That's the only place I can find it. I know it was on DVD somewhere. And so a guy got a camera, guy got an editing system, and just used every filter in the book. So, but it was so fun to see. And so it was like old school wake days. And I think that was like one of the ones that would have been pushed out on Alliance or one of the big, and probably was big on Wakeboard Atlanta when it was still around. So, but yeah, I got to be a part of that. It was fun. Just gotten on to maybe a few years before onto C-Dub, and Andrew Atkinson's board had just come out. So I was on that. He had inspired a lot of my riding style with his Suicide Rayleigh that he would do. So I kind of copied that and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, harsh at it, but still fun.
How many toe sevens do you think you had in your part?
Did I have any? Did I have some?
Wait, no, it was
then?
nope, it wasn't toe sevens. It was the next video part I got to talk about.
Okay.
This one, do you think wakeboarding in a hat should make a comeback?
So
You rocked
this is funny. So I didn't drink. I'm like a pretty good rule follower. I didn't drink till I was 21. Maybe I had like one or two, but I got this Jack Daniels hat from a wakeboard.
I couldn't tell what it was.
It was a Jack Daniels hat
because it was rocked
rocked it for some reason. It was my thing, and I rocked this hat forever. when it did come into play, Ambush put on this epic event. I forget what it was, and it started raining cats and dogs. And so I realized all I have to do is do a stand-up pass. So I tucked the hat down, rain's out of my face. Everyone else is getting pelted, and did a very basic stand-up run, won it. And I think it was one of the events, like last events, I feel like they were doing something to who's going to be in that rider search.
Yeah.
And so because I won it, it was like one of the things that helped put me into that rider search, I believe.
Yeah, the windshield wipers going on. Everybody else is driving in the dark out there.
But yeah, the hat.
I like the hat.
Fun.
I think the hat plays sometimes.
Yeah. And it's the tick. So instead of pulling the board shorts down, it's like you
adjust the hat a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you need to readjust that. And then it got so worn out that my wife ended up wearing it when she would wakeboard. It got so small, we just had to stitch it together. Then she'd rock the Jack Daniels hat.
I love that. And you rocked it forwards the whole time.
Yeah,
Which
not backwards.
That thing's got to be kind of tight then.
It was tight.
Okay, losing some circulation
Yeah.
up top. I mean, my highlight from that was the Superman front roll you had at the end.
Shane's inspired. So that's why my body's paid a freaking toll at this point. Because I grew up in the flats days. Everything had to be in the flats. Everything had to be switch. So it's like whatever you could do, you need to make sure you can do it the other way switch and land as far out in the flats as you can go. So elephants, Superman
A lot
front
of elephants
rolls,
back then. Yep.
whatever it was. Could never do a S-bend behind the boat, but anything big, even tantrums to reverts were out into the flats. Anything was big and out into the flats.
We like that though.
Yeah.
I like that. I think it's time we dive into the LF'n Wheel of Questions presented by Liquid Force.
Let's roll.
The LF'n Wheel of Questions.
Okay, let's go.
So go ahead and grab that up behind you. Liquid Force likes to make wakeboarding fun, so I say we make this podcast a little bit more fun.
All right.
I spin in the LF'n Wheel of Questions. We got a whole hodgepodge of stuff on here, some random stuff, but there's some cable stuff, maybe some boat stuff on there. So go ahead and give that a spin here. See what we got. Okay, so this I guess is more cable specific, but I'm wondering your ideal handle size, because I would say there's three main handles. So yeah, run through what do you think? What's your favorite? And what do you have at Terminus?
Grew up Sestec. Like the first ones we had were Sestec, which is this guy. Freaking
Big fat ones.
thick.
Yeah.
So that's what I was used to. I loved that so much more than Rixon's teeny little guys.
Yep.
So it's, whenever I'd switch, I was like, this is so hard to do. So I think that honestly, I think that Wake Parks now has hit it like head on the money. It's the blend between those two. Starts wide, like thick, so it's actually durable and good, but then steps down to this great little medium. It's not too wide to where it's getting in the way, but it's also not too narrow.
Yeah.
I think that what we got right now, at least what we're using, the Wake Parks ones at Terminus, is the right call.
I think I couldn't agree more. I think the Wake Parks are the best. To me, the Rixon ones are at the very bottom of the list. Especially, I feel like you go to some parks and maybe they're probably not different, but they're so thin. I can barely put two hands on it.
And they're thin that like
Their circumference is
can't
tiny.
hold on.
Yeah.
So
It's terrible.
a little bit bigger is always good.
Yeah, the Wake Parks ones, though. Shout out Wake Parks, because those are just
Spot on.
great handles. All right, we got an LF'n wild card
Okay.
from the crew at Liquid Force. So if you want to save an extra 15% off Liquid Force gear from now until December 31st, use code FESTIVE15 when you check out. There's a bunch of stuff on there, so go ahead and get that Christmas stuff. They want you to rank these fast food places.
Okay.
So at Terminus, which we'll get into Terminus, but there are a lot of fast food within walking distance.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that you have at least gone to them all once.
Yes.
So we've got, I don't know if I pulled them all here, but we got Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Arby's.
Yep.
So hit them 1 to 5. I got my idea of what 1 to 5 is, but I'm curious on your thoughts.
All right.
Not distance-wise, like just food-wise.
I'm going to rank these, and I got one quick story for you.
Okay, good.
Say them again.
Okay, we got Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Arby's. All,
okay.
If you're visiting Terminus, they're all within walking distance of the cable.
Chick-fil-A number 1.
Okay.
That's
Easy.
a no-brainer.
Easy.
Wendy's.
Wendy's too.
Wendy's too.
Okay. So we got McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Arby's left. I know where Arby's stands on my list, but
I think of Arby's as the worst, but they might have better food than Taco Bell. I'm not Taco I used to eat Taco Bell.
okay.
I'm almost 4. I'm not eating Taco Bell much these
Yeah,
days.
we can't be, can't be running up that Taco Bell anymore.
But it's just for, okay, then we're going Taco Bell, McDonald's, Arby's.
yeah, Arby's is it.
Yeah.
Arby's ain't it. I can tell you that.
So the one you left out was Subway.
Okay, so there's a Subway there.
There's a Subway. When we were starting the park, there was McDonald's and Subway at the Loves, and that was it. So we didn't want to eat McDonald's every day. So we ate Subway every day. So I knew Jeff's order, I knew Adam's order, I knew Cole's order. So it would just be like, who's going to get lunch? And you just go get it, and you got their order. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my quick little story.
That's interesting. People who build cable parks like to eat Subways. Because when I helped build a cable park in Michigan,
that's all it was.
Josh, Subway.
It's not like it's
All the
great,
time.
but
It's good enough.
Yeah, it's good
and
enough.
you can get it back-to-back days.
Yeah.
And you'll be all right.
I did have to shower at that Love's a few times.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't never see myself showering at a gas station or a gas stop. But
It's a truck stop.
yeah, it was actually pretty sweet.
Do you have to pay for them there, or you just
You
reserve
pay
it?
for it.
Okay.
So therefore, it's clean. Everything's like folded towel. Like it was actually pretty.
Well, because towels are there.
It was pretty nice, actually. I don't recommend it,
Well, in a pinch.
but it's better than driving home muddy. So.
That's very true. All right, so we'll go ahead and put this
right.
LF'n wild card back. Thank you
see
to
what else
Liquid
was on
Force
there.
for that. Yeah, we'll run through some stuff
All right.
later, but all right. So speaking of videos, a single day,
Yep.
Singleton Marine Group.
Yep.
So I got a couple questions on this. You have a part in this.
Yep.
What is Singleton Marine Group? And I guess, do you know the backstory of why they helped create this video, a single day? Because it did numbies on YouTube. We're talking almost 500,000.
Yep. So I'll back up real quick. So in college, back out, start doing the boat sales, like I talked about. A little after the boat sales hit, economy crashed. And so I was base salary, $12,000 a year, making commissions on top. So I was selling boats the first year. I mean, I'm 19. I made over 100 grand the first year. It's great. And next year, economy crashes. Lake Lanier's 23 feet down. I'm not selling a boat. So I am making $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm married now, trying to support family. My wife's finishing school, so she's still at Georgia. So anyways, I started volunteering, doing video production at my church. And this like legit film production. So like everyone who volunteers there for free has film production companies outside of work or outside of church. So I start picking up some freelance jobs. Hey, can you come run a camera? Hey, can you come do this? And so that leads me down this road. And I always had a creative, like my family of artists and other stuff too. So I loved shooting. Me and one of my best friends growing up, Jamie Graff, we would always film some old wakeboard videos. It's like, I always loved doing video. So started doing film. I was like, shoot, I can make as much as I'm making right now, work 1 day a week, like 2 days a week, pick up some day rates, and then I can design and build my own cable park. And so that's where that started. So I was like,
Okay.
I saw this vision of leaving the boat sales because I wasn't selling boats, and I could go pick up a film job. So I had no intentions like starting a film company, but go pick that up and then have like 29 days left to design and build my own cable park. So that's where the vision started. I always wanted to do it since then. So it's like 2006 when I started that project and left. Then we lived on my wife's salary as a kindergarten teacher. So she was the breadwinner for a while I started this film production company.
That's a rice and beans kind of diet for that moment.
Yeah.
I think.
And I mean, we had, had a little bit of savings
Yeah.
and some stuff, but nothing much. And young married couple. So start doing it and then kind of lose sight of the cable park because I get into starting this company and doing it and I'm picking up jobs and I'm hustling and go in to like film her kindergarten, like poetry recital. It's like legit camera HVX 200 and yeah, one of these.
Best one ever made right there.
That's why I have carpal tunnel. Freaking 12 pounds hanging off the side of your wrist for filming weddings all day. And so shoot this. And like one of the dads comes up to me and is like, hey, like, is this what you do full time? I'm like, yeah,
For sure.
professional videographer. And so that starts like one of my first clients. And they had this awesome Whole Foods company and we did stuff. So I started shooting all their film content stuff and the timing of it was just perfect. So this was 2006, 2007. Digital marketing was totally changing. Digital videography was changing. Like 5D hadn't come out yet. And web videos were starting to
The
happen.
internet's popping off a little bit.
So
yeah.
YouTube's around, but they don't have HD. Vimeo just comes out and they have HD. And so, and I got diving in. So thankfully from these guys from my church, they're full on production guys. So I'm learning the details and all the crazy production stuff and knowledge and technical knowledge from these guys. So start building this company. And then my buddy, Jamie Graff, who I was talking about, he was at Clemson He graduates, so he comes, joins the company, and we had always envisioned kind of doing this thing together. So we start Remedy Films in 07. I have the idea, have the name. There was a South Carolina group from Clemson area that it was like a Christian wakeboard club called Addicted Riders. Bunch of really great guys. Like some of those guys that were in there, phenomenal. And so I'm like, oh, Addicted Films. We're going to be Addicted Films. And I was like, no, I don't want to be the addiction. I want to be the remedy. I want to be the solution.
Okay, here we go.
So Remedy Films starts. So I start that in 07, grow it, have fun. And what was so cool back then was we would come at a project from the water sports side of things, action sports side. And so we would like go to this foods company, something so lame, shoot it in a way that was like so different, using cool things. We're always into toys. So it's like strapping GoPros to like AR drones before drones were around. Then using the big off-road segways and steady cams, like any toy that we can make a toy.
Make it a little different.
We made our own jib, made a zip line, started doing stuff for Red Bull, did the Red Bull night shift, which is super cool downhill mountain bike event at night. So we ran this like zip line through the trees that we just ghetto rigged and built, and then had a string hooked up to like pull it back up, and built a jib for it. So we started shooting that, shot the Red Bull Wake End, which was super cool.
Yeah.
So got to build, that was my first time.
Okay, I didn't know.
Not first time. So we built rails for it. This was at Ralph Scalaberg's property, where the Bishops had their place at first. So it's known as the B-Town compound, but it was Ralph's private water ski lake. So Red Bull hired me to come and build some of these rails. Some are still there today, which is pretty awesome. Actually just went and saw a rail that I built way back when, after I had this nasty fall. For some reason, the day after, we decided to build this rail. And I pick up this 16-foot 2x12 by myself, throw my back out, and my back was out for 2 months. So I was to the chiropractor every other day, getting them to like fix it. And it wasn't from that, it was from the fall.
What was the slam? What was the slam you had?
All right. Stupid.
Is this the one
Yeah,
before we got on camera, he was talking about a slam. Is this the one?
So this set off back injury for the rest of my life. Still, I take a deep breath now. It hurts. Can't sleep, everything. So
Still riding though.
Still riding.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
We
of
love
course,
that.
have to. All right, behind the boat, taking my buddy's old 210 Air out, sweet boat, hooked 2 ropes together. So I'm not riding at 75, I'm running at 150. We're jumping the second wake. So like where people are foiling now. So I'm cutting from 150 feet, going whatever, we're going 24 miles an hour. So I have no clue how fast but I'm jumping it. So cut in, suck it in, hit the second wake, jump, clear the wake, land. So I'm hauling. And I have this idea to do a Rayleigh. And even when I'm riding, the rope is drooping.
Yeah.
Like there's that much slack in it, just riding. So I go to do it, throw out, and I'm only getting like 4 or 5 feet. So I don't know why I decided. So go out, throw the Rayleigh, go to pull in, pull the slack tight, nothing. So it comes down, board catches, just slaps, like the worst. Don't black out, come back around. I'm concussed, amnesed right away. So I think I forgot a full year. And within a few hours, I was up to 6 months. And then within 24 hours, I still was like a few hours from the day that I had totally just forgotten, and destroyed my back. So absolute worst fall I've ever taken. And so anyways, that total side story, but that destroyed me and set up some horrible pain for the rest of my life. But so be careful. You don't do stupid shit. I mean, we were having fun, good time. But anyways, fast forward. I don't even know where I was anymore.
I got one
I'm
comment
sorry.
on that. They say don't break 2 laws at once. I feel like you broke 2 laws at once there. You did the 150-foot rope,
Yeah,
which
true.
is fine.
Yeah.
You mess around.
It was
But then
fun.
you went for the Rayleigh,
Yeah.
and that's
Do one or the other.
what you one at a time.
Yeah.
One at a time. So back's
Okay.
messed up, building the rail.
So building the rail, that was one of the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
Filming, having fun, grow that business. And then so Singleton Marine Group comes around. I'd been working for the other company, Water Sports Central. Gotten a free boat from them as I was riding the tour more, doing the best. And this is what's awesome. If you're like rider, when I got married, everyone's like, "Oh, you're done, you're out." I had a permanent boat driver. My wife is badass. Like, so we were lived when that year she was teaching. She's off during the summer. I'm not selling boats anymore, but we still have the X-Star they had given me. And
X-Star. There you go.
yeah, 06 X-Star thing was sweet.
That was the little graffiti on the side? Or
It was.
different
I had the one that we used for the Pro Tour. So like I took my boat to the Pro Tour, we used it, and then no, sorry, it's different, same colorway, but so it had maroon back, white front, had like the parentheses Mastercraft on it, and so she was just pulling me every day. So what do we want to do today? Let's go on the lake. So we were riding, gas was cheap. We would go wakeboard every single day. So that's when the nines and all that stuff actually happens. It was after high school, after college, after marriage. Now that's when I was still finishing up, like wrapping up the tour stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then starting that film company. So having fun, get the film company going. Singleton Marine group. So Austin Singleton. There's a lot of context for Terminus too. So
yeah, this is all very, I feel like, important background for this.
Meet Austin. What a stud. He, his dad had acquired a marina. He was a developer, crash hit. The guy owed Austin's dad a lot of money, gave him the marina as his payment. So Austin started running that, ran it so well that he wanted to start another one. So bought what was Atlanta Inboard at Lake Lanier. That was his second dealership. And they wanted to market and they wanted to do cool films. And they were like, let's just have some fun. And so it was hard from the film side of things. So it's like he asked me if I want to come do it. I had a Mastercraft. They were doing Malibu. Hard switch for me. I'm loyalist like my dad was. So it was like, I had to go to Johnny at the time and be like, hey, this is what they're offering. Can you do this? And I'll stay. And keep doing some things and stay with Mastercraft. Or I'm going to switch over here. So made the switch. The deal was basically, hey, we want to have fun. Here's our team. We're going to ride. This is for the shop. So this is like for our marketing, but we want you to go have fun, but it's not just to go make a wake video.
Yeah. Try to sell some boats.
Try to sell some boats. And so we trade a boat for doing the film. And so we, Single Day was the first one. We had a cool team, bunch of the Atlanta guys doing stuff, some movers and shakers. And so oh my gosh, my mind's blanking right now. Brain Farm. Curtis Morgan. That's it. That's all. All the epic snowboard films had just come out. And I'm like, this is sick. People are doing some helicopter stuff in snowboard or in wakeboarding, but not much. And I just had a bunch of awesome buddies. All my dad's old buddies. My dad's passed away. I'm still good buddies with his buddies now. And so I have multiple friends with helicopters. Sounds really weird, but so
Sounds cool.
I call in favors. And so it's like, hey, we're doing a film. Can you bring your helicopter? Can you bring your helicopter? Can you bring your helicopter? And then Singleton had a yacht they wanted to bring out. So I was like, let's do this whole thing in one day, a single day. And we're going to schedule everything. Got the helicopters all scheduled. And so we just went crazy. So it was so fun to get to do a production of that level. It's like the first time I had done something that big. So we had, I think, 5 or 6 videographers shooting from the boat, shooting from each chopper, and a chase boat. And so the whole thing, because we just had to capture it all. And so we went crazy. It was super fun. Chopper to chopper to chopper shot. Overkill, yes.
That's why it's fun though.
We had the opportunity. It was a blast. That still is probably my favorite video, just because of the production of it. Not like the video itself, not the writing, not all that stuff, but just the fact that we got to do it was sick. And so, yeah, that was Single Day. So that's kind of where it came from. It was Singleton Marine Group trying to basically do something fun, and market their boats, market their marina. So we were, as a production company, it was hard because we were walking this line of make it cool.
We want to make a cool wakeboard video.
But we also have to use these riders.
Yeah.
We can't just go shoot who we want to shoot and do. It didn't make sense to go do winch stuff, go do street stuff, do any cable stuff.
Yeah.
As Liquid Force came in, Matt Long's always been an epic staple of everything in Atlanta. He's the Liquid Force rep that lives in Atlanta. He came in and helped sponsor it later, and that's why we went to the cable in one of the other seasons of it. Because we did Single Day. What was it? Oh, I'm forgetting.
There were 3, weren't there?
There were 3.
Yeah.
Probably have it here.
I'll put, obviously, all the links below to all these.
Single Day, Magic Hour, and then All in Good Fun.
Okay.
Were the 3. And then Seasons, right when I was on my way out.
I was going to say Seasons was the last one, right?
Yeah.
At the end. Okay.
But I didn't have a part of that one.
Seasons did some big numbers.
Yeah.
That's over 1 million.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. So, I got a couple of things to ask. I want to know how much the whole project cost, but it sounds like it was more of, a lot of people.
They didn't charge us a thing.
Okay.
They gave their time, they gave their helicopter, they gave their fuel.
It's a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was super fun. One of the guy, I mean, two of them I still am good buddies with. The one I don't know much anymore, but one of them was like a father figure later. If you know Lake Lanier Islands, Mike Williams, he was getting big into production himself. So I started training him in editing and filming and shooting. And then he was just buying all this badass gear, and then he would let us use it. And he liked us enough to let me put a sticker of my company on his helicopter. It's pretty cool.
Okay. There's a shot of that in.
Yeah, so we put our big
shots,
Remedy Films sticker on his helicopter. It wasn't like vinyl. I mean, it was like putting a sticker on your chopper.
Sticker on your helicopter.
I hope it's going to come off.
Okay. All right. So let's dive into this because I think probably at the time, maybe Singleton and you and everybody didn't really understand how important some of these like bigger video projects are.
Yeah.
To the culture, the community of wakeboarding. I can only imagine how many kids have gotten into wakeboarding or like stayed into wakeboarding because of videos like this, right? And maybe the marina or dealership doesn't realize that, but I just want to say it's very important. Those things are like super important, and I think it's awesome that they decided to do something cool. Because selling boats, maybe that didn't sell boats. I think it probably did.
Yeah,
it built a big community, helped
gets people
nurture all that stuff, gets people in, keeps people in. So I just want to say that first off. But can we talk about the board shorts you were rocking?
Oh, which ones? Colorful ones?
They were colorful.
Yep.
Had some swirls on them.
Yep.
I'm wondering where you got those from.
It was probably a prize from an ambush competition.
I'll put some videos in. These are good boardies.
Yeah. And my infinite, would it take about 6 minutes to finally see the stale fish grab in that one? Hit it, cut to another shot. Hit it, cut to another shot. Hit it.
I wanted to bring that up too. Yeah.
Twixter had just come out.
It's got to be.
Then we were the ones guilty.
Twixter's like slow-mo early age.
Pre-slow-mo.
Yeah.
So we were the ones in over-editing. So
well, that's how that goes, though.
Sorry.
That's how that goes. This is the one where you had some sevens, some toe sevens.
Yes. Yeah.
Good toe sevens.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
will say.
It was fun.
Why don't you think, I mean, I kind of touched on it, but why don't you think more dealerships did more projects like this?
I mean, they were thinking outside the box because it was not normal then.
Yeah.
I'd been at a dealership, and so I was Austin's brainchild. He was thinking differently and wanted to do things and truly for the good of the sport, get more people in, which is why eventually he was one of the main one behind starting Terminus. He truly had a passion for it. He had kids and they were showing interest, but he had a passion. He put his money where his mouth was.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is a great time to dive into a guest question from Rivers Hedrick.
Okay.
What's up, Chase and Hunter? I hope the podcast is going well. I'm definitely super excited to listen to this one. I know Chase has got some really good stories. But yeah, I've got a couple questions for you, Chase. Thank you, Hunter, for having me send in a little voice memo. But yeah, here we go. So first off, I think all of us locals at Terminus know what this one is, but Chase, what is your signature or I guess go-to kicker hit? Whether it's for a points chase or just a normal riding set. But yeah, what's your go-to kicker hit? And then kind of second part of that question, would you say that it has gotten a little more sketchy over the years? Or do you think you still got it pretty dialed? And my next one is, so you've been in the film industry, obviously, for a really long time. And you guys may have already talked about this, but anyways, why kind of leave that and then open a cable park? And now that you obviously have the cable park, what has been the most rewarding or, I guess, impactful part of Terminus? It's definitely not easy. It's not an easy job. Being in the wakeboard industry is not the easiest thing to do. So, yeah, what's been the most rewarding part of running Terminus? So then also, Terminus has held many, many events over the few years, like pro events, Monster Energy Triple Crown, Park Pro, Nationals, and then all of our local events like Wake for a Cause, Broken Record, Last Laps, End of the Line. So what have been some of your few favorite events? And then my last question is, what this is a good story, but what has been the worst phone call that you've gotten from a staff member at the park?
I don't know
that's
anything
all.
about it.
Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Hope those were some good questions. And, of course, thank you, Chase, for everything you have done for me and our community at Terminus. Whether you know it or not, we all really, really, really appreciate it. So, yeah, enjoy the conversation. Thank you, Hunter. See y'all.
All right. So it was a 5-parter there.
All right.
We're going to run it from the top.
You said you write
kicker.
these down.
I wrote them down.
Okay.
Go-to kicker hit. What do you got?
This one came from Tom Fouché. He taught me a few years ago the little hopscotch back underflip thing.
Okay.
I love to grab it Japan if I can. So he broke it down, thankfully, for me. And then I think when we were at one of the Triple Crown events, way back when, is when he taught it to me. We had a little extra time. He was doing it, loved it. So come in, hopscotch, back one, and then underflip. I landed my first try. It was crazy. So he taught me come in, basically do the back one, handle pass it, and just go off. So you get used to like coming into the kicker and doing a back one, and then would do it, and then just do the rewind. So kind of go out to like Indy glide, land,
back.
and then do the rewind to that too, which was fun. So rewind in, unwind, like Indy glide, rewind, back one, back in. And then we were in a tournament, and I was like, I feel like if I just throw the flip, like a front roll, it would come around. And so came around, last lap, had to do it, land it. It over rotates to 3.
Yeah.
But just from all the old days of riding and gymnastics, air awareness, like I saw it was going to over rotate, took it an extra 180, landed it. And so now it's just my go-to, whether it's cool or not. It
feels
super
good.
cool
You like doing it.
to everyone watching. Like ski show guy, like that's still in me. I'd rather go send some massive rally for the crowd than throw the heel 9 or something. So like I'd want to make it look fun.
Yeah.
And it's really sketchy looking for the public, and it looks fun and it's fun. And I like if I can grab it full Japan, or is it briefcase, or
I don't know.
you go to your toe side edge.
Is it your backhand or your front hand?
backhand? Well, which one? So front hand as I'm taking off.
It would be Japan then.
Japan. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So and then pull, if I can really tweak that thing out, it's just fun. So
Okay. All right.
that's a go-to kicker hit.
She wants to know if you've, have they gotten better or sketchier?
So I was close. I never landed. I was actually close to doing it double.
Really?
It's the opener and this little fun thing that I did. I would come in. It's hard because you got to cut hard, and you can't cut hard blind into it.
Yeah.
At least I can't. So I would do it, come around, and then I would hook another front. And it was very snowboardy. I think it was very similar to, what's his name, who did it?
Max Van Helver with the double cork thing? Okay.
The double cork.
Yeah,
So very similar to that. So I've never got that. It's definitely gone downhill some. And then if I'm at another park that's not a unit kicker, it's sketchy as all get out. I did it at Nationals or whatever this was, and I could just not get it clean. Couldn't clean it up for the life of me. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
The way she goes.
Yeah.
That's the go-to though.
Yes, for sure.
All right. I mean, you kind of touched on this. Why leave the film industry to open a cable park? And I think we can dive into this a little, like after this guest question. But
So it's a perfect segue. I mean, we'll go right in. So film industry is killing it. We're doing great. Me and my business partner we had some fun things going on. We filmed some cool stuff because we were always approaching it in a cool way. So we were doing some Energizer NASCAR stuff, getting the film with, I forget his name. He's a really big driver now. I had gotten Austin. We went on a snowboard trip, talked him into buying me a Phantom. So it's $100,000 camera, high-speed camera, which is what then was later used in all those films and overused a little bit, but we were stoked. We owned the camera.
Gotta use it.
And we were renting the thing out and using it ourselves. And so, yeah, it was great. So in industry was great. We were killing it, having fun, shooting a bunch of Chick-fil-A stuff internally. We'd bring that thing out. So like we were saying, we'd take the action sports into the lame or mediocre and make it look cool.
Yeah.
So when the grilled sandwich was coming out, we were shooting all the behind the scenes stuff of it. They're making it. So we like have this stuff where they're dropping the spices on, and it's like epically falling down onto the chicken. And then they see it. One of the other segments like, who did this? And so then we get more work.
The snowballs, yeah.
And so that's one way that we grew our film company is we would always go above and beyond. So we would do something, we'd get hired for one thing, and then we'd bring the other toy, or we'd go above and beyond and make it look crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's like we did a $5,000 project. We would treat it like a $10,000. Then we'd book the $10,000, book a 20, do a 20, book a 40, book 100.
Yeah.
And so it just started to snowball, just going above and beyond, serving the customer well, doing unexpected, fun, cool things.
Blowing them out of the water. Yeah.
Having fun with it. So did a bunch of really cool music videos, all sorts of different people. So it was a good time.
Dang.
Use the high-speed camera with Mariah Carey, doing this like her little intro thing. So I got to DP that.
Do you meet these people? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, so like, I guess what's the coolest celebrity you've met? Like the most down-to-earth one that's like, oh, you're just another person. Or are they all mostly like that?
No, Mariah Carey definitely was not. She was the one who was celebrity. Like you approached her and I got to talk with her son, but like she
big time.
she didn't show for the shoot. So we all billed it out and then we did it again the next day and we double billed it and they paid it. It's like she just had something come up and couldn't make it to set.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, we're doing it again and we're all going to make double. It was the same. So it was great. But most down to earth. I mean, I'm doing a lot of stuff with T-Pain right now and he's super chill.
Yeah.
Like, he's a freaking blast to hang out with. He's really fun. I don't know. Trying to think of who like we've actually spent a good bit of time with.
I mean, T-Pain's a good one.
The race car driver was great.
Not cool enough to remember his name, though.
I'm not a NASCAR guy.
Not either. I know like 3 names. Denny Hamlin is the only one that I could think of. I mean, you got Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, we filmed with Dan. No, that would be sick.
Forgetting his
Yeah.
name, dude.
No, we did like sports people. I'm not sports people either, which comes into play well. That's what helped us in the film side of things too. Is like, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I'm a wakeboard. Like to me, my top guys is like Sean Parks. It's like, and I'm on the dock with him. And so you don't care. So it's like, we're filming Coach K in underneath the Duke thing, like in the thing, like interviewing him or Tony. It's like any of these random people, you don't care who that person is. And I'm not a sports guy, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So there's no,
You're not like starstruck
no.
because you're just,
It's
just
fine.
another dude.
And because like the wakeboard industry is so small, it's just another person and they are just another person and it doesn't matter. So it's like, treat me well. I'm expecting you to treat me well. I'm going to treat you well.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So
Keep it easy.
I know. But the film stuff was going great. I truly was, and wakeboarding though was a passion. We weren't doing it as much. I was doing it some, but I was truly growing that business, the Remedy Films. I was at church praying one night. It was a worship thing. And I truly just felt the Lord being like, hey, you can go do this if it's about the people. And so I was praying about it and I was like, our business is good at the Remedy. We're making a lot of money and we're busy. Like there's no reason to go leave. It truly was just a calling that I felt the Lord calling me. It was like, hey, this is where I want you to go. It doesn't make sense. But I want you to go build a place that can impact the people. And so I know that sounds weird, but it was what I felt and what I knew to be true. And so left Remedy. This really was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. There's been a few more, but had to go tell my business partner that I was leaving, go tell the guys I'd hired that I'm leaving. And as much as Terminus is a community, those are my guys. We had done life together. And so tried to do both. I wasn't like going to leave, but I'm like, hey, I'm leaving
I'm transitioning
operations
out.
to go run. And it didn't do good. I didn't do good. I tried to just leave and do some here and go do some here. And I had just forgotten 10 years later or whatever it was. No, it was 07 I started, 2013 Terminus started. So 6 years, I had just forgotten what it took to start a business.
Yeah.
It is a lot of freaking work. And so sun up to sundown, I'd be at Terminus. And then, so I'd leave at 5 a.m. to get to the park at 6 to start building it with the guys. We'd leave after sunset. I'd leave, go back to Remedy office, do some computer work, do some stuff, and then come home. And so I was just killing myself. And so I didn't handle it well. I didn't make sure that they were set up for success. I think that I could have still kept Remedy if I would have handled it in a different way, hindsight. But ended up selling it. And so it was great. We were kind of already ready to be done and move on. And so my business partner wanted to buy it. So ended up selling the film company off, which was great. It's like normally something like that you can't really go sell. And so was able to sell it and go do it and start the Terminus project.
Terminus project.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. I think we'll dive in after the last two parts of this question from Rivers. We'll dive in more into Terminus.
Okay.
She's wondering, first, your few favorite events from Terminus over the years. We can backtrack.
So I have always, being in the community, I've always wanted to host and be a part of it however we can. I know it's so funny because like now it's a very cliche park, but it, you know, is and isn't. We were the very first one to have all unit stuff, which was like groundbreaking back then. 2013, like everyone had hand-built stuff, which can still be phenomenal. But I was like so excited. I really wanted to build in the best way, like the Disney of wake parks, where not in a cheesy way, but where mom can see it and be like, I want to go let my kid try that.
Yeah.
My whole purpose was to build and grow the industry. Some people take it further, push it. We wanted to broaden it. So we wanted to make it look accessible, make it look fun, make it look safe to where anyone could come do it. And then still cater to the pros, like still have something that's pretty awesome to get to go do. But everything else. So if there's events, I want to host it. Like for our community, I want it for the culture. I want to try to I come from an events, like a live event production background.
Yep.
Like I want to make it over the top and make it feel bigger than it is. So man, back in the day, I was randomly talked to Blake Hess. We're talking about a bunch of stuff right now, who started Points Chase. And we were saying one of my favorite ones was, I think it was 2014 or 2015 Points Chase Nationals. It was, I don't know the numbers. I have to look it up. It was the largest wakeboard event in registrations that's happened.
Really?
I mean, I think we had a few hundred registrations. I don't know the number, but he running it all knew it was like by far like the biggest event that had happened.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my favorites. We had like Rockstar bus out there and all the things because it was back to back with Monster Energy Triple Crown. And it was the first time that Monster Energy Triple Crown had come to the same place twice. So they came in 14 and they came in 15. So we were like the championship for the second year, 2015 of it. So those were super fun. What else?
Yeah, the Triple Crown is.
Those were great back in the day. I don't know if it was the peak. It was close to it.
It has to be close, yeah.
Maybe like Terminus's peak was not revenue wise, but Terminus's peak, I feel like was somewhere in there from a amount of people really want to come out.
Yeah.
And just the sports peak, so somewhere in there. But yeah, those events were great. The old school big events. But dude, all the stuff we do now, even just this past year we hosted, it's not an event, but we did the Liquid Force dealer meeting, LF'n Expo. That was freaking fun. So we had all the new stuff, all the people, we had the boats going out, and it was just this fun vibe, getting to hang out with everybody. It was just fun.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what we do. Like we make fun, we create memories. My staff's heard me say it time and time again, like we create slideshow moments. So at your wedding, you're going to be watching a slideshow and like Terminus is going to be in there. Maybe not for Hunter, but it's like
it could be. You don't know.
All those kids are growing up there. These are the lasting memories.
Yeah.
They're where they're going to meet each other. There literally has been people in each other's weddings now. There have been weddings from Terminus that have people have
That's
met.
so cool. Yeah.
And so it's like you're creating these slideshow moments for people. Truly life memories. There's there's a lot of kids that have now gone off to college with people they met at Terminus. So it's like you're creating these lifelong friendships for people. So what we do daily is what I love. But then the big events, I'm trying to think of some others. My mind's blanking on some of the.
I mean, you had, to me, Triple Crown was one of the ones that, there's a Moxie Pro you guys did.
Moxie Pro was
too,
sweet.
right?
All girls event.
Yeah.
That was so fun. A lot of the stuff that we do. My favorite thing that we did was last year, our 10-year anniversary, was with Wake for a Cause, the local event that we always do. That event was by far the most fun because I had my buddy I grew up with, Andy Hall, come play, which is Manchester Orchestra. So he came and did a private show at the park, like for everything, after everything was done. Like it was a bucket list item for me to get to have him there finally. And so that was for me like one of my favorite moments at Terminus.
Okay. All right. So we're going to dive into Terminus here, but we got to hit worst phone call from a staff member. Rivers is definitely hinting at something.
Yeah. No, she is.
I don't know what it is.
They literally, the staff had to, I don't know how they figured it out, but they're like, who's going to call Chase? So I get
to tell you about it, you mean?
To tell me about it.
Oh, okay. It's that bad.
It was that bad. 2015, Jeff had left from doing maintenance at the park. his guy who worked with him, we had him kind of just keep doing maintenance. Did not realize how much Jeff was doing. And I did, but it's like he was holding it down, keeping it good. So my maintenance was happening, but not correctly. We were flag testing, which I don't know if you know flag testing, but we were flag testing the cable.
I know, but tell the people briefly.
So you're on your car, you do an alignment on your car to make sure your tires don't wear. On the cable, if it's 6 towers, it's a 6-way 3D alignment. So you got to go up, down, in, out, left, right, whatever, and each one reacts differently. So you fix this one, so the cable can't spin. If the cable's twisting as it comes through, it's going to wear out. It's twisting.
Friction, yeah.
It's going to wear that cable out quicker. So if you want it to be able to come right down the middle of the pulley, if it does that, you put these duct tape flags on, the flag stays flat. Otherwise, you have to adjust it. So if you adjust one, it might mess up the next one. So you got to go around.
And you're adjusting these pulleys with nuts on a
30
thing,
feet above it with a wrench hanging out on it. You got to do a little adjustment and then get off of it because your weight matters.
Yep.
Then watch it. Then go back out, adjust again, go back out. So it takes forever.
It's not fun
to do.
Yeah.
But if you keep it at 0, flag doesn't move, cable's not twisting, everything's going to happen great. So we were flag testing. We weren't doing shit about it.
You were just doing the test.
He was doing the test, and yeah, it's twisting.
We got to do some
But
adjustments.
we didn't know that we needed to sit there and fix it. So the cable had been twisting and twisting and twisting, and then snapped. So thankfully, it was the bottom cable, which is the drive cable. So the top one just kind of runs with it. That's why the carriers hold the two things together. Bottom cable snapped. So the whole thing stopped. Cable falls in the water. And
this is during operation?
This is during operation. People are on the cable. No one gets hurt, but it looks horrible. Cable's literally, the bottom cable is falling in between every pulley. Diagonals are crazy. The fray that's still hanging there is hanging down. So I get a call. Marilyn lost the bet. So Marilyn Pruitt had to call me. Hey, Chase. Like, yeah. Hey, sorry to call you on day off. Cable broke. And so she's expecting me to flip out. But I'm in those moments, I kind of go, let's problem solve. So it's like, okay, is anyone hurt? No. Okay, great. I'll be there in 15 minutes. And so get to the park, and it starts a few weeks worth of work that we got to order the cable from Germany. It happened. I don't know the time frame. It wasn't in the peak part of our season, thankfully. Okay. I don't remember when it was, but I got the pictures from it. But it falls. So we have to pull it down. You got to order the cable, do everything. And that cable had only been open for a year and a half. So it hadn't been open much. It was a beginner cable, really tight. So think of it too. That's a really small cable. It's really small. It's doing a lot more laps than the average cable park. So it's probably wore out a lot quicker, especially since we weren't doing what we were supposed to do. So maintenance matters, folks.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And if you do the flag test, adjust after the flag test.
Yeah. Actually,
otherwise, just don't do the flag test.
So no one's fault. We just didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
Jeff had been taught everything, and we were doing it. We were doing daily maintenance, and he was clutch. He was taking care of it so well. And he didn't know anything. He, like, pre-Terminus, he wasn't a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's super smart. But he had to learn all the maintenance stuff. And so when he left, we kind of knew, but not really. And so I didn't do a good job. Again, it all falls back to me. So I should have jumped in, made sure I learned it, and led better. So
okay, let's kick off. I mean, back to Terminus.
Yep.
The video production company, and then now you're going into Terminus. So where do you get the location? Where do you get the name? I kind of know where the name comes from, but like, I guess go location in like the early stages of, all right, we're building a cable park now.
So we had tried a few cable parks in Atlanta leading up to this. There was a group, I think Paul Lazon was there, Diamond, like some of the ambush guys, myself, and one or two other guys that tried to put one right by the airport. So when we were doing that, working on that one, we were throwing out names. Terminus could have been ATLX. That was one of my big ones I wanted to do. It's like I had this big envision of Atlanta Extreme, like all the cool things. And so we were all submitting names. I submitted that. I had actually been to church. Passion City Church had their first thing, and he was talking about the history of Atlanta because we were in this epic concert venue. It's actually where they had their first church service called the Tabernacle, and it was an old church, and he was giving the history of Atlanta. And so we talked about Terminus. I was like, that's cool. So I had my journal, wrote down the word Terminus, and like it just stuck with me for years. And so when we were doing that one, I had suggested it too. Hey, how about Terminus? And it's what it means basically. It was Atlanta's first name. So when Atlanta was founded, they were building the Eastern railroads. They were all came together into the Terminus. And so they put a big stake in the ground, the 0 mile post, and that is the terminus of all the rail tracks. So it was Terminus for, I don't remember the dates, maybe 1836, like for 3 or 4 years. And then it became Marthasville. So we could have been Marthasville Wake Park.
Terminus is way cooler.
There's a ring to it. No, and then a few years after Marthasville, it became Atlanta. And so just for us, it was a little tip of the hat towards the history, being Atlanta's first wake park. It was a little tip of our hat to the history of Atlanta. So everyone thinks it was just a name or something. And so when we went to go do this one, we had a big naming competition. So I just resubmitted that. I already had the name in the bag, knew I wanted it. And I actually wasn't part of it then. So there's a little uproar on some of the websites. I don't know if you'd seen this.
This is what I was looking at.
Okay. Yeah. So I submitted it. And at that point, I'm one of the writers. I'm a pro writer for Singleton Marine Group. I'm not involved with it yet. And so I submitted it. And then then later I got involved, it looked like I took it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So how that happened, me and Austin Singleton, we got together and we were doing a bunch of stuff that high-speed camera worked. We paid him back the first year plus 20% on it. And so that thing was making money. And so he, as one of his riders, he did this really good. He got all of his pro riders together and said, hey, if we're building a cable park, what do you want? Like, we're starting from scratch. Let's build the best one ever. And so we all were giving in ideas, and he had approached me at one point about running it and turned him down. It's like, no, like film stuff's going great. Don't need to do it. I was like, dude, if you would have asked, and all of a sudden it started clicking. I'm like, if you would have asked me this like 6 years ago, this is what I wanted to go do.
Yeah.
And so gave him a few names for some options, some people. He didn't really like any of them. Came back, asked me again. It's like, no, sorry, like it's still not the right time. And the whole time we're giving input on what the thing could be and building it and all. And finally comes back and it's like, hey, what if you were an owner with us? And so it just kind of started to pique the interest. And that's when I was starting to pray about it. And a few weeks later is kind of when I had that recollection, that worship night at church. So that's when I kind of got on board, realizing that, hey, maybe I can do both, run the cable and get to do the film stuff. Like they go hand in hand. So started down that whole journey. That's when eventually I had to tell the guys, hey, I'm leaving, going to go do this. And then we start on the Terminus journey. So it was rough. I mean, it was a lot of work. It is so much work. And crazy thankful. At the 10-year anniversary, I invited those few guys, Jeff and Adam and Cole, Jesse, Jeremy. There was just those few guys that were there. We were there every day. So there was no like, hey, what's our schedule, work schedule? It's like we're sunrise, sunset every single day. We're going to build this thing. And we're all building it out of passion.
Yeah.
So we dive in, we start building it. I know nothing about cable parks. I've ridden OWC once a year. For like an old school Pro Tour days. And Jeff, minimal. Adam, not at all. He was from LSU and Cajun Asian. He came in to do marketing for us, and we weren't open yet. So Austin let him go market for Singleton at the time as a job holder.
Yeah.
Until Terminus was ready. Had I think Jeff knew Cole, and so Cole came out one time when we were working, and I was like, "You'd be great. You're passionate. Like, let's bring you on board." And Jesse Darflinger came from somewhere and was killing it. And then my stepbrother, Jeremy. So we all just dove in every single day, putting in every single bolt. It was a muddy mess. If you know Terminus now, it's not what it was then. I mean, there was nothing there. So it was exit 283, Emerson. There was the Loves, and then nothing.
So why'd you pick this location?
So we had chosen a different location in Dawsonville, like Cumming area, right near Lanier. Phenomenal spot. But we met and a guy named Neil Freeman, who was starting this whole Lake Point concept. So Austin and someone connected them two together. We got together and it made sense. So they were believers. And there's this hey, it matches from the skin level. We want to build a very beautiful, epic sports. They want to do traditional sports. We want to do action sports. It matched from the skin level, like what we want to do. Skeleton, how the thing would work, the interactions, and then DNA, like what we're there to do. We're there to impact people, let them feel seen, let them have a great time, like just be the light, have some fun, come out in like the day-to-day monotony. So we saw Lake Point's vision, and it was epic. Yeah. I mean, there was polar coaster, 20 hotels, 16 baseball fields, 16 softball fields, 14 soccer and lacrosse fields. Greg Norman was going to do a 3-hole training golf facility. Dr. Andrews, who's like the main sports doctor for like all the high-end athletes, he was going to have a practice there, tennis facility, camping, a Bass Pro Shop, interactive experience. It was sick. And I still have some of the mock-ups. So it was like, and we were going to be on the top of the north side of the South Campus. We were right in the middle of it. And so it was perfect. 1,500 acre sports complex that we would get to be basically the water sports spot. So because of that, we came in, we bought the land, which is great, normally. And then we started building it and going crazy because they were going to build this massive complex around us. So we crazy overspent. Like most cable parks maybe are just above $1 million. We were at $4.5 million. So
all in everything?
That was our debt service.
Okay.
So we got $1 million of astroturf sitting out there.
I was going to ask how much the astroturf cost.
And we got that at 10 cents on the dollar. So if you want to go astroturf your park, you probably ain't doing it. Yeah. Shaw Industries is right there. And then all unit, which wasn't done. I mean, that was over $500,000 buy on unit stuff, somewhere around there, maybe less. 2 cables, which wasn't done much. Like there were some, but not much. No, we were the first one to have both. George's first full-size cable too. And then we didn't even have a building. Like we did all that and we were going to do this building. And then we had to go back in years later and get a different loan and get a building set up. It's like, good grief. So everyone's seeing it. Like I showed Jeff, showed Adam, like, hey, this is what we're going to be a part of. This is what we're doing. We're going to kick some ass. Like, let's have fun. Yeah. And we were living on the dream of building it and building it and building it. And that's what they did. And then, like, I know Jeff had talked about on his, and basically it's like, you can only do that for so long. The passion only holds on for so long. Not that he lost passion of water sports, but it's he was underpaid. Like there's no revenue. So it was all coming out of Austin's pocket at the time. So it was hard. And then, so eventually they ended up leaving, but I am so crazy thankful for those guys. And I've tried to convey this the best that I can every single time to whoever I'm talking about, but like having thanks for those guys, because they put in hard work, underpaid, but they built the place that you get to enjoy. And so super crazy grateful, especially like so many years later. All I have is gratitude, for what's come, what's been done, that work that people have put in. And so we built it. We got the features in, got to take those first laps. It was heaven. We opened at the perfect time, September 27th, going right into the winter. So it's like we had spent so much money, got open, and then opened in late September, and we're open. But it was because it was so new, people were still coming December. Yeah. They didn't care. Then we did close for like January, February. We started the turf install on the beginner and the 2.0. Had first free-for-all in 2014 where we did beginner lake and 2.0 only. It was so great. The pictures of that. We had the pipe, we had the handrail, we had the XL, all that stuff in the beginner lake. And people were just sending it. It was that teeny tiny 4-carrier cable.
It's 4 carriers?
4 carriers. You could run it slower and maybe squeeze a fifth in, but it's beyond the safety distances.
And that's not the point of that cable either, too.
No. And so many times I've wanted to switch. I got some really fun. So
you mean, okay.
As we started to install the turf, we realized that the islands had settled. So we needed to go back in and add some dirt to the center islands. So they built a land bridge out to put the turf in, and I'm up on the tower doing work, and I look down, I'm like, hold up. Let's build the first full-size bi-level, because I see it. I see this thing. This is 2014. So I'm like, if we shift it, I could do the lower lake where the start is, and we could have bi-level step up, ride high, step down, and have this whole
like a half and half kind of thing?
Half and half. Yeah. And so I send stuff to Pat. He looks up stuff, and we start designing. And it's like obviously never happened because we were already spending so much money. Yeah. But we designed it out a little bit, put some ideation into it. I had the ideas like, let's just sell the pool. We'll use that money to do the land work, and we'll have a pro lake, not like an advanced lake. We'll have a pro lake, and then a really big, slow beginner lake. But obviously that never got to transpire. So
that's a good idea, though.
I know. And then 2015, cable snapped.
Okay, so it was early.
Yeah, it was early. and got that put back on, realized we needed to do maintenance, hired Casey Ettinger, just stud. Wasn't in the water sports. He loved water sports, did some coaching classes. But I realized at that point, I didn't get to hire Adam. I didn't get to hire Jeff. Hired Cole and Jesse and Jeremy. But I was like, I want to go get, just the right-minded person that I really want to pour into this thing. And so Casey's side of the story is great. I'm at the point, like everyone else is gone. I'm there running it. I got a few other guys who are sticking around. So Casey emails me about an application that we had put out there to hire somebody. Oh, I'm going to do this wrong. Was it a year later? 6 months later, something. I responded to the email. And that's just how busy I was and how much stuff was going on. And I'm like, hey, you still interested? He's like, oh yeah, like sure. And so I sent it out, and this, to his credit, he drove up from, it's not Lakeland. I forget where he was, in Florida, drove up that day, met with me for like 45 minutes for his interview, drove home, and then got like a flat on the way home and like horrible.
Nightmare.
But it was like, dude, you got the job. And he was just a hard worker, vision. He wanted to build the place with me. And so our first day on the job is that cable's still down. We haven't put it up yet. So we're like, we can't let the advance go down. So we take every single part off, replace everything. We go through it. So it's a picture of us dark, laid on the tower. We're just so nasty, dirty. We had replaced everything to make sure the advance wasn't going to go down. And so the beginner could come back. So his first few weeks was fixing the advanced and then restringing.
Nightmare few weeks to start.
But it's like, if you can hang with us doing that, you're solid.
It's cake the rest of it,
Yeah, and then he was with us for the next 6 years, overseeing, running the place, killing it, and creating the culture. So
sick. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of Patreon questions, obviously, but
okay.
We'll dive into a couple and then, talk more about the cable and stuff. But got one from Derek Davis.
Okay.
And he's wondering if you could talk about the old timer Art who used to ride at Terminus.
Yeah.
True legend. So who is this guy?
So Art came out actually first year. He came out in 2014. So the first full season.
Yeah.
I want to be this when I get older. So he is at the time, this is not right. He was 68 or something. Yeah. Somewhere in there. 64. His grandson was going to come down and be in town with him for 2 months during the summer. So he's like, I want to do this. So he bought a pass for himself. We had the whole VIP thing going. He bought a VIP pass for himself, bought a pass for his grandson. He was like, I got to start now, and I got to get where I'm riding so that I can ride with him when he comes in town.
So sick.
Isn't that awesome? And so he did. And then just this awesome, he would come by. We're not even open, middle of winter. He sees a car there. He pulls in to come talk with us. Like, we were his community.
Yeah.
And it was so great. And so he kept riding. He rode with us. We didn't get to see him this year. He had some health stuff. I mean, he's 78 now. He's been wakeboarding now for so long. So he kept track. We used to do the scanners. He was so mad when the scanners went away because he wanted to know how many laps he did. So he counts them. At one point, he was on the advanced cable for 150 laps straight.
Without letting go?
Without letting go. That is, we're a 48-second lap. He was out there for just shy of 2 hours?
It's got to be a Terminus.
One, you don't want to ride behind that. So sorry that was riding. But it's like, he stayed in. And then on his birthday, he would come out and he'd try the XL. And he'd accidentally throw a flip and not land it and just get worked. But true stud. And then ended up hiring 2 of his granddaughters. So we had 2 of his granddaughters work through Terminus. And they're still good friends. And so it's just super cool. I love that. Like, being 78 at the end, seeing the vision that, hey, I want to be able to do something fun like this with my grandson. And then they would come every summer and keep doing it. But he just stayed in. He was our guy. So he's done over, I think he was near 30,000 laps is what he had done.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And he's still riding?
I don't think so anymore. I think he kind of wanted to hang it up.
Yeah.
He did come back out one more time, I think not this year, but last year.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see him this year. We've seen him, but he didn't get to ride.
That's still so cool, though. All right, so I got another Patreon question from Ollie Jerome. So if you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to do that. Thank you so much, everybody on the Patreon. Really is what keeps this podcast going. So speaking of employees, he's wondering, how do you manage to keep hiring such great employees? What's your secret to creating such a strong and friendly culture? He was mentioning every time he goes there, it just seems like it's better than the time before.
Yeah.
In terms of that, so.
Man, people are important to me. So we spend a lot of time, we start group interviews in February. And so we do 2 rounds of group interviews. We go into one-on-one interviews. I'm truly what I'm looking for. It's almost a negative, not really, but it's like almost a negative if you're there for riding. If that's what you want to do, great. Like that's your passion and why you're going to give it your all, phenomenal. And I need those to help coach and teach. But I'm looking for the right people. Like I just want, we have a bunch of values as a company. All companies have values. They can be lame. Some people don't even care about them. They're never talked again, whatever. We care. We lean into it and we talk about what they mean. What does it mean internally as a company? What does it mean to our customers? So we go into it like community is big. That's what it is. So building community. And what I love, I hate that so many wake parks are just a bunch of white dudes. Like ours is just a bunch of white dudes too. But like I want different people of everything.
Yeah.
To go spiritual, heaven is not a bunch of white dudes. Heaven's everybody. Like it looks like I wish wakeboarding looked more like heaven. Mix of everybody. So it's like your hunter's going to attract your own community at the park. So if I hire somebody, they're going to connect with people that I might not.
Their friends, their family, who
their
they
family,
grew up with. Yeah.
Unique things. So it's like, I want to bring everybody in like that because one, you're going to be that person might be the home and why that person keeps coming back. So that's what we talk about. Community service is what we do. We serve like crazy. It's like what we talk about specifically is you're hired to do your job. So it's like if you're doing rentals, you're supposed to get the person the right size, get them the thing, great. That's doing your job. If you can go above and beyond, what 101% looks like is then if you have time, carry the stuff for them. If it's a mom and you see that she needs help, jump in and help it. Maybe put her a little bit further away from a speaker so that she can have some peace and quiet. Like we're looking for ways to serve the customers differently. And we talk about that very proactively. Encouragement, it's like big, what we do. It sucks to fall off the dock and to fall. I've heard Daniel talk about this a lot. So it's like what we talk about with our staff is encouragement. Don't wait after they fall to get back in line, get all the way to the front, give them a little bit of encouragement and like a tip and then send them again. So when they fall, go ahead and give them some tips and give them a little encouragement there. If you can't, we have the dock hands, walk up as they're getting out of the water, talk to them, give them some encouragement. That way, the whole time they're waiting in line, they're thinking about the tips and they're feeling better about themselves as they get to the front again.
Yeah, rather than reflecting on I just face planted.
Yes,
yeah.
That sucks. Like
Let's get over that right away.
You can feel so defeated from being out there for so long. And people do. It's a hard thing. And we want to be encouraging to each other, like on the inside. We're going to goof around. We're going to joke around with a lot of our staff. We have some fun. But at the end of the day, at the end, we want to be encouraging to you. We know that people won't stick around Terminus for forever. Like there's a lot of just seasonal employees and people that come through there. But man, do I want you, when you go on to the next thing, to be like, where did you come from? Like I want our people coming out, killing it. And then adventure is like massive what we do. That's another value. People come to the park for adventure. And then a big thing, what we talk about, maybe this is part of it, but it's like everyone's there for a different reason. Like they're there for more of something. So what is your more? You're there maybe for more adventure, more thrills, more grabs, more riding. But someone else, maybe they're getting over an addiction, right? So they're looking to fill that addiction with something else beneficial, or they are looking for more family time. They're looking for more, whatever it is. Like everyone's is different. So trying to engage with the customer, get to know them, remember their name, because and I don't know the stats on this. I'll be pulling it out from my butt if I said something, but I feel like people probably can go days without having someone call them by name. And it does something to have like, Hunter, how are you doing? Like when people call you by name, there's something to that.
Yeah.
And so at rentals, if you can ask them their name and you can remember it, like that goes so far. They feel seen. They feel like it's their home. They feel like their family. So they're not great. Like, I mean, these are really, really young green people. People have so much bad stuff to say about the young, like working generation. But dude, if you can give them a purpose behind what they're doing, they care. Like if you give them something to care about, they'll work hard. They're going to see that what they're doing has value and what they're doing matters. And that's what we talk about a lot. I think there was another question. Was there or no?
I think we got them all. What were you thinking of?
Well, so like that's what I'm finding now.
Most fulfilling. She's wondering like what's most fulfilling.
So it was when I started the place, it was starting the business and getting people on the water. And it's about like the customer. And I've realized now my job is less about the customer. My job is about my employees. So I get to pour into those kids, set them up for their next job, set them up for their marriage, set them up for life, for having kids, whatever it is. Like, we're going to teach responsibility. We're going to talk about the stuff that matters. And if we're doing that well, then they're going to take care of the customers. And I lost sight of that. Like I said, I wanted to go start it for the people. Business is hard. And when it's not going great, it sucks. And it's down. And then all you look at are numbers. And then it becomes about the numbers. And it did for me too. Like, I lost sight of it probably in that around the time, like pretty early on, unfortunately, because it was a hustle. So from probably about end of 2015 to 16, somewhere in that range, is like it became more business. When the cables are failing and people are leaving, and you're just like by yourself trying to figure out what
you
to
feel
do.
like you got to tighten the screws and like
Golly,
get
it's
back
hard.
to the dollars and cents.
And so, and then it's hard to reset. But I thankfully have been trying to make sure that I keep resetting, and I'm not perfect at it by any means. We are still business. You got to watch the P&L. If you're not around, which we might, like, there's a point where we might not be, then the community's gone.
Yeah.
So if you're not, the business isn't doing good and the business isn't sustainable, then it doesn't matter the impact you're having, if the impact can be short-lived. So yeah, so I care about the people. I care about my people. And I want to pour into them. I care about every single person that comes through the park. I wish I had more time so I could get to interact with everybody, but since I can't, I know the staff can. And so that's why I just pour into them the best I can.
Yeah.
So,
okay. You touched on Terminus might not be around. So what we talked about at the very beginning, but dive into that a little bit. What happened? What was going to happen?
well, I mean, so we do a great job. We are very busy when we're busy. We did not on the outset, you're looking at a pro forma, easiest way to make money is on paper. And we looked like we were going to make a lot of money and it was going to be great. So long story short, Lake Point didn't build out fully like they were going to. So we had overspent. We're having to pay on that no matter what. We're paying the bank. Bank's going to ask for their check every month. Yeah. So I'm writing a check for $45,000 a month to cover the debt service of the park. And we're making good money for June, July, a little bit of money in May and August. And you kind of barely break even the rest. And then you start losing money because we're not making anything. And we're still paying payroll. We're still paying debt service. You're still paying insurance. You're still paying everything, utilities and all that. So you're not making money for 6 months. Quick math. What is that? 300 grand. So it's like, we have to have so much cash in the bank going into the winter to have $0 when we open in March.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And so it's like, if we raise prices, it's one, hopefully it affects it some, but all we're doing is trying to break even. And we had such a big nut to carry. It's hard. And so we were doing it some, not every year. So also, have to come out of pocket here and there, pay for stuff. And so he's graciously doing it. He's vision. He understands what we're doing from a kingdom perspective. He understands what we're doing from a wakeboard perspective. We're growing the industry. It's phenomenal. But at some point, you're tired of losing money.
Yeah.
And so even though we had some good years, and so we decided that he decided he kind of wanted out and was going to sell. Very rightly so. I mean, he's invested, this is the busiest guy I know. So now they're up to 100 plus marinas. They own a ton of chicken salad chicks. Like,
What is that?
a restaurant,
Okay.
like probably 50 other businesses that he's helped invest in.
Yeah.
Normally, any investor, if it's not going well, they're going to pull it. But he kept pushing, like he had vision. He wanted this thing to work and he understood everything that was going on. So anyone who's come through Terminus owes him a massive thank you. He put his money where his mouth is, like I said earlier, and just truly was badass. So anyways, decides he's going to pull out. We're going to sell the land. We didn't realize that basically we have this land use agreement. We can only ever be used as a cable-driven wakeboard park. So I can't sell it to a shopping mall. I can't sell it to a surf park. I can't put a surf park in. So you truly kind of backed into a corner. So you could sell it, but if you want to put a surf park in, you got to do the same thing we're doing. And so we did end up, basically what happens, we sold the land this past year. So Lake Point, the big sports facility, one, probably saw it as an opportunity to get to pick up 20 plus acres of like pristine land. And they're the ones that we had the agreement with. So as soon as they get it, agreement's gone, they can do whatever they want with it. So I'm nervous. Hey, do we sell it? Or when we sell it, what's going to happen? Like, am I out of a job? Or I knew I wasn't, because Lake Point wanted to keep it around. So massive props to them. Like, they're sticking behind it and wanting to keep this thing going. But there's a thing in our contract now is if they're done with it at some point, they give me notice and I have to have 100% of the equipment off the property in 90 days. So it's like, what's going to happen? And so I'm like, this happened last year. So this time last year, I truly went through depression of like, everything that I built is going away.
It's in jeopardy. Yeah.
And look, I mean, that statement alone, that's like very looking like it's mine. It's not, it's God's. And so, it was, but it was hard. It was like, okay, we failed. Like, the business failed. And so I'm a failure. And so struck a nerve there.
I mean, it's deep.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
I mean, when you do it for so long, you don't want it to become your identity.
How can it not be though? At least a certain point.
Providing that place for people is what I love. So, and I didn't want that to go away. So then we were stuck with this hard family decision. If crazy thing, 4 days before I had a job offer. Hey, you want to come work for me? Like, no, like I'm still here. We're killing it. Whatever. It's like, man, I'm super appreciative, but I can't do it. And then 4 days later, I hear, hey, we are selling. I'm like, hey,
Too late?
I still got to look out for my family. I'm
Yeah.
like 3 kids now. And so we're looking at this decision. I've truly felt the weight of the world on my weight of like the park on my shoulders of like, if we choose to do what's best for our family and go take a job, Terminus doesn't exist next year. Because they wouldn't keep it going without me. They don't know what to do. They don't have infrastructure to run it.
Yeah.
And so, but if I stay and I lose this job offer, then I could have the rug pulled out me from any chance, and then I'm risking my family. But I want the community to still get to be around. I want Terminus to still get to be around. And so I'm like stuck with
in a
this
hard place.
What do you do?
Yeah.
And so long story short, my wife had the phenomenal idea. Basically, what ended up transpiring is ended up basically getting to do both, which is crazy. So I'm having the most fun doing some film stuff again, getting to get back in and doing film stuff and working with one of my best friends, and getting to do his phenomenal work. They do school fundraising for schools all around the nation. Got to go work with Dude Perfect with them and a bunch of cool stuff. And so they truly help schools like crazy. And they not only do they just help raise them funds, but they, like me, they pour into the kids. So we shoot like character development stuff and like cool things for the kids to get to learn and grow as a kid. So that's what I'm getting to do now, while also leading and still GM at Terminus. So Jackson Kaufman, who had been with me for so long, his sister had worked for me. Basically, it was going to come on his shoulders. Hey, do you want to stick around? Is this something you're interested in? Do you want to step up and be the day-to-day guy? And he was like, oh, yeah, let's go. And so with his commitment, we did everything, settled everything. And so we sold the property. Me and Tiffany lost a lot of money because we invested everything. Because we sold the land undervalued, we lost everything that we have. So we lost a few $100,000 in selling it. And but that's fine. It doesn't matter. And so Jackson stepped up and has been killing it. So he now is there every day. He's such a culture guy. He's super fun. You've seen him in the Doc Talks.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that he does. He is a true stud. And he's learning. He's growing. He's learning leadership. He's learning how to lead people. But he's been doing it with me for like 6 years already. And so thankfully to him and his leadership, the day-to-day was able to keep going. And then our whole team, like Ollie said, it's like our people are the best people. And that, man, getting the news that we were still going to be open this year was phenomenal. And so it truly was like, I take every little bit for granted, or I don't want to take every little bit for granted. Getting to have my kids there, that was one of the biggest hurts for me when it was potentially going to go away. Like, I was just getting to the point, why build a place? Like, for me to get to use it with my family.
Yeah.
I had this vision.
That's the dream. That's the goal.
Running it as a family, my kids taking it
laps.
over, taking laps. I truly had this like dream being on the far side of the advanced lake, looking at the pool, Hayes I didn't even know Hayes' name, but like my son riding around, and I just like had this vision, and we are just getting to where that could happen. And then it's like everything was potentially going to go away. Yeah. So anyways, I was so blessed. So now we're even getting more responsibility. Lake Point's continuing to be a phenomenal partner. So now instead of us like being the redheaded stepchild of, sorry, no offense. Bam, sorry.
That's a good one.
Had to liven it up a little bit.
That's a good one.
We were always the weird ones. Like, so everything else was like operated by Lake Point, and then Terminus was separate. And so it was like always this weird
this action sport thing people don't really
understand.
and
and then they didn't care what we did. And so now they're investing into it, and like they're making it a part of the bigger offering. And so they see the value, they see what's going on. They're seeing not so much dollars. I mean, we're going to do what we're going to do. We do a good job, but they're committed to it, and they're pushing forward, and like they see what's happening and the people that are coming through and the events that we get to put on. And I think that they're getting really stoked on the idea of keeping us.
So they're bought into the future of Terminus at that location.
Yeah. And they're giving us more things are happening. Can't say details, but more things are happening where it looks like things potentially could be even a much, much longer runway, which is really, really great. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that's a very nerve-wracking position when you were kind of between the rock and a hard place.
Golly.
But it always has a way of working out.
It does.
It buffs.
Yeah, it'll
Not
buff.
buffed.
It'll buff.
It'll buff. All right, so we got another Patreon question from Todd Allen. Kind of in this same ballpark, but he's wondering if there's any new plans for future wake parks in Atlanta since the sale to Lake Point. And he's kind of mentioning, he's like, I think Atlanta could be the U.S. cable mecca in a sense. And I believe that it could sustain a lot of wake parks, but I'm curious on your thoughts.
From the beginning, I wanted 3. So I wanted where we were, Buford, Gainesville, Cumming area, which is like an hour east of us, and then south of the airport, Peachtree City area. I wanted that triangle. And so right before COVID, was it right into COVID? I have to look at the contract. I was under contract on 45 acres to put another wake park in. It was an existing 12-acre lake. But I knew this time I needed to stay to a very, very strict budget because I needed it to be profitable year one. And so I was trying to stay under that $2 million mark and did everything. Everything else was looking great. The location, everything was perfect. Did some 3D mapping of the water, and the average depth was like 4 feet. So I was and I'm used to 10 foot.
Yeah.
Like I know some parks are that shallow, which is pretty sketchy to me. But so we were going to have to drain and dredge 6 feet, 12 acres. And so it's going to be an extra million, $750,000. And it just killed it. So ended up backing out during due diligence, got out of it. Wish I would have kept it because obviously rates just skyrocket. We could have just flipped the property, but it's okay. So to answer his question, I love Todd too. Todd's helped us so much. Worked for me way back in the day. Went to Valdosta, been helping them so much. And then still, since he lives back up near us, he's helped us so much. Have you ever heard a story? I don't want to go into it too long. We did our CPR, like lifeguard, all of our emergency training services. The next week, a girl got stuck underneath the dock. He jumped in, got her CPR, everything, and saved this girl's life. And he had just gone through the training like the week before. So he's a total stud.
Wow.
Anyways, props to Todd.
Props to Todd. There you go, Todd.
But I think that it can. I do think that the market could hold it. A big idea is separate the cables. Could do it. Take one, put one elsewhere.
Yeah.
I've been trying surf, so we're looking big into the whole surf park stuff, in addition to wake. So I always want to bring that in. Surf park is the next thing. It's very scary because it's well over 10 times what we're doing now. So those are 40.
When you say surf park, you mean legit.
I want like full moving wave.
Not unit surf pool, actually.
I want a unit surf pool.
Sure.
And we tried to put one in at the park, and that's kind of what red flagged Lake Point. Hey, you can't do that. What do you mean we can't do that? Oh, well, you can only. So
yeah.
I was almost had a unit surf in the 2.0 at Terminus, which would have been sick.
Great spot for
so no, full moving wave. So you're 40 to 70 million into those projects. So call those guys with helicopters, right?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Man.
But no, and it's scary because in a way, with Terminus failing, which it didn't, and I come back to one thing on that real quick. When you're looking at now doing something then tenfold, the failure of that is even scarier. So you want to go do it. their industry is massive. It's bigger. It can sustain it. Surf is huge. But when you're dealing with those numbers, it's hard. It's hard to get the funding.
Yeah.
It's hard to make it work. I'm like, how do we make this work to get people out here? And then I'm going to go do the same thing in the same market. Like, and are 10 times more people going to come out? And I don't need 10 times. I need 20 times because I need this thing to actually work. So it's scary. I think that it needs to be done well, needs to be done right. The way forward, I don't know if Dan had talked about this, but it's partnerships. So partnering with municipalities, don't own the land. I want to own the land, but you can't. So if you can get free land from a city, like some have done recently, give them profit sharing back. You don't have that. Get the right equipment, and so on. You can actually have a very viable, very sustainable business that can stick around. And that's the whole point.
Okay. So a lot of people, I think, when they're talking about cable parks, I've heard just from the industry side of things, a lot of people are dogging on. They're like, cable parks don't make money. Cable parks can't make money. Cable parks aren't a sustainable business. You pretty much just said no to that. So
They can. You have to go about it right.
Yeah.
And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's all I had to say.
Yeah.
You're already going down the path that I wanted you to go down. Like, what does that mean? What do we have to do?
It's what we have is hard, and some other ones where it's just a cable.
Yeah.
We have a snack bar. You don't need a snack bar. You need food and beverage. You need a full restaurant. So some of the ones that are really, really great, if you look at the numbers or talk to them, it's half the restaurant, it's half the cable. So which one's doing which? One is profit, one is like paying the bills. So, but they have to come together. So it's like, oh, is the restaurant making the money? Or it's like they're helping each other. So you need to have all those facets. And Europe does do that very, very well. I haven't gotten to go see a ton. I've traveled and done some, but as a park owner, it sucks because you don't actually get to see it, at least Northern Hemisphere. We've traveled. We were literally on the plane going to CWC in 2014. And while we were on the plane, a hurricane hit and we landed. There's no power. CWC was destroyed. We didn't get to go. No one's there. We had like airport pickup scheduled. No one showed. And so we were like, what do we do? We're in Philippines and we don't know where to do. So we got a hotel that night to try to figure it out. I did get to go to Republic still. And then I went to, I don't know if you've seen this one, Pradera Verde.
Nope.
Don't know if it's still around. North Philippines. Only cable I've been to that's 2 start towers.
I've been talking for 75 episodes of this podcast. I've been trying to find a cable that has 2 star towers.
I don't know if it's still around. So Pradera Verde, super sick. So I don't know if the park was sick. It was really, really good. But they built it and they had the start dock on one side. And then it's a golf. And this is what gives me hope for everything too. It's a golf and wakeboard community.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool concept. So then they built everything on the other side of the lake. So like, well, we need to go where the customers are. So they abandoned the electronics. They left the pneumatic. So the magazine's still there, but they took down the motor, took down all that stuff, moved it diagonal to the other side of the lake. And they built a big pavilion, restaurant, all that stuff. So that's where everyone goes. Customers come there. They start there. But if you fall, it's first come, first serve. So the locals come over here, park over here, and then they can load. So beginner gets on, they fall. Carrier comes around, they get on, they go. So if you fall on the other side too, you're not scared anymore. So they do have to double staff it. So there's 2 operators, but they just have basically the pneumatic system up there, and then they can still fork and send.
I'm telling you, man. I think that has a huge future.
Terminus is small, and I still want 2.
I know. How cool would it be?
I know. It's so helpful.
Yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, we get to see some. I do think that the cable park industry, I do think cables can be self-sustaining themselves, but they do need the other things. Aqua Park was a lifesaver. It is huge. I forget who said it, maybe Pat, somebody. Aqua parks are the future of wake parks. Helps you make money.
I mean, you can make it akin to tubing parks at ski resorts of the future.
Yeah.
Ski, like whatever. Something that makes money.
Top of the
same
funnel.
place.
You got to get the people without skill in. They're going to see the wakeboarding. They're going to try it. Pitch them summer camp, pitch them a party, pitch them whatever. Then they're going to get memberships, and that's how you work your way down that funnel, getting those people into the industry.
Yeah.
So
Got to get a life jacket on.
Amen.
All right, we're going to keep diving into this stuff because there's some good stuff here. But from Frank Adkins, Patreon question, he's wondering, do you think the increased traffic and activities to do in that exit has benefited or dampened the park's growth?
No, it's definitely improved it. I mean, I would not want to be there with how it was back in the day. I don't want to eat Subway every day anymore either. But no, it's definitely improved it. I mean, it is crazy for the people that have been there that long to see where it was just a dirt road, Loves and Us is nuts. And it's so fun to see it grow up. Like I've had drone videos from 2012 to 2014 or 2024 of the whole facility. And it's super cool to see the growth. I definitely think it's helped. And it's nice being in and out. I wish we could afford to finish our parking lot one day.
Is it? What do you mean finish it?
Well, we still have this like gravel area that never got finished because that's where the trailer was. Quick mini story. When we went to go pave the parking lot, we were working out a construction trailer.
Yeah.
That's like what people knew Terminus as. But it was there. I couldn't get rid of it because we had to keep operating. And so we finished it. We were going to then move it and finish that spot. Over Christmas, a semi-truck came through, pulling a U-turn, hit the trailer, knocked it off, and it broke and fell over. And so I show up to work one day, and I'm like, what happened? Like our thing is on the ground. Like a truck had hit and run too. So he knocked it off its foundation and then took off. And so we had to get rid of that working trailer thing, which was pretty bad anyways, but it's what we had. And then the next year we operated our whole season out of a 20-foot shipping container. Like that opened up and then we had a little pro shop, a little check-in, and like that was it. And that's what we operated out of.
Yeah. And
porta potties. 3 porta potties. And I want high-end stuff. I care, like to me, I judge a place on the bathroom.
Yep.
And I now I'm stuck with porta potties. And so I was like, these are going to be the nicest porta potties. And they had like foot flush, and our staff would go in every 30 minutes and clean them. But like, that's where you had to go change.
Yeah.
That's what we operated out of for, I think it was 2014 season or something. So
porta potties are tough.
That was bad. Anyways, flashback.
Let's go. I think we take a quick break up this Terminus talk with the ROTY Board, Rider of the Year board.
Yeah.
So go ahead and grab that down. If you can slide that over. I got a Sharpie over here. You should be able to just pick it right up and then come off that. So for those who don't know, we got every guest from now until ROTY's announced. They're going to put a name on this board of who they think could or would or should win ROTY. Or if they like a name that's already on there, they can choose to say, hey, I already like that name, so I'm giving it another vote. So currently we have Rivers Hedrick, Pedro Caldas, Cole Crace, and then Trent Stuckey on the bottom.
Are we serious?
I know what the answer is. So,
all right. It's going to your girl. It's going to Rivers Hedrick for sure. I cannot say enough things about Rivers. She is just the most badass thing ever. I wish she was my daughter. She, from having her come out when I think she was 8, hopefully she'll get to
was it from like a free-for-all or something?
Yeah.
I feel like,
so I think it was that 2014 free-for-all, like when we were half finished. She came out and is like picture with her. And she didn't. It's like all the other like LF boat riders, at the time. She's like, who's this one? Oh, that's Jimmy Lurich. Like she did, or I think it was Jimmy. I forget who. No,
Jimmy's Hyperlight.
He was Hyperlight. Who was it? Oh, I got to go back and look at the
Shane
picture.
was there probably.
Shane was there. I think Daniel and a few other people were there, and Harley. But yeah, anyways, she's just, for those that don't know, I mean, they see her riding, they see the videos. She doesn't need to work at the park. For those that don't know, like she works at the park.
I didn't know that.
She doesn't need to. She works at the park because she wants to give back and be a part of the industry. So to see her riding and her push, like no one has worked for this more than Rivers. She has put in the time, the effort, and then she just turned 18, but it's like she was 16 and killing it, and her video stuff and film and photography is amazing. It's not like, and I'm a production guy. It's sick. Like I still have my editor I go to. I'm like about to switch to her because she's freaking sick. She is so good. Rider, putting out her videos, everything that she's doing, she is doing it right. She's setting herself up phenomenal for the future.
Yeah.
If she's not Rider of the Year 2024, she should be. She definitely would be next year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane. So how do I mark this?
Fill in the bubble, and then if somebody else does, they'll put a tally mark. So
all right.
Pedro has
Rivers.
2
I'm
votes.
doing my
There you go.
initials
Yeah.
there.
Rivers got 2 votes. We gotta tie the top of the leaderboard here.
Because the first vote is the name.
Yep. First vote's the name.
All right, Rivers, love you.
I mean, I she's been a Terminus local since she started wakeboarding.
Definitely.
So good luck.
Hanging up.
Yeah, we don't gotta worry about it. No, there you go. That's good. Very professional apparatus here. We got the Outhouse skateboard. So thanks to Outhouse actually for setting that over. That's pretty sick.
Love you, Rivers.
Yeah, not surprised there.
No, it's so fun having her thing. We've had so many great people come through the park and like riders grow up there and stuff, but to see her and what she's doing, that's joy.
Killing it.
For
No
me
other way to put it.
Golly.
I think we dive into another guest question from Daniel Jarrett,
All right.
owner of Westrock.
What's up? This is Daniel from West Rock. As you both know, I appreciate you guys immensely. The road that is cable wakeboarding in the U.S. is a lonely one, so it's been awesome to go down it with you. Chase, you've been such a great friend and so willing to pick up the phone and talk through ideas and technical issues and all of that. And hospitable, when I'm passing through for work or on the way to Valdosta, Florida, just such a special place you created. My question is this. If you were starting Terminus tomorrow from scratch, what would you do differently? Looking forward to hearing the answer in the episode. Take care, fellas.
Loaded one. Thanks,
good.
Dan.
Starting Terminus tomorrow. What do I do differently? What's so hard? Like in our actual setting, I love the turf, but would you do it? Because you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that. So, biggest thing, I'd get the restaurant in right away. It would like be a part of the design from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then biggest thing I would also do, I've realized this in the last few years. When people go to build these things, they build them for their peak season. So what I would do is build it for the off season. So meaning you need hot tubs, you need hot showers, like temperature controlled changing rooms, dock heaters, because the peak season is going to take care of itself. You're going to be busy. So build a great facility, but build a facility that can sustain in the off season, and then you can actually stay a little more sustainable. So doing that, like when you go to these surf parks, got to go to Melbourne, do Urban and a bunch of these places, like you're in your wetsuit, you're in the hot tub leading up to your set. And then you go out. Like when I was surfing Melbourne, water was 48 degrees or 46, somewhere in there. Like it hurts to be paddling out. And you're like, what are we doing? But by the end of it, you're like scooping the water into your wetsuit because you're so hot.
Yeah.
And you get back out and you get in the hot tub and they have heated changing rooms and it's just phenomenal. And you go eat healthy, good food like that you want to eat before and between your sets and everything. So do that. I mean, build the food and beverage into it. Build it for the off season. I think those are, now if you're in like Orlando or somewhere that it is year round, doesn't really matter, but that's one of the things I would do. And then set a bigger budget for marketing off the top. I would put in the budget line item for a lull to have a forklift on site, like one of the big utility forklifts. Yep. You just use it all the time. And enough budget to be able to pay your people, right? So that they'll stay. Yeah. Because it's the hardest thing, one of the hardest things of being a seasonal business is we keep our full-time people on, but then like your really great managers or part-time people, they have to go find jobs. And then sometimes they find a better job, not a better, but it's like one that pays more. And then it's hard to go back and work the park again.
Yeah.
Unless they're just crazy passionate about it. So you lose so many good people that way. So I wish that there was a way to, well, obviously if you're in a year-round environment,
it's easier to do.
It's easier to do. And we're pretty good. We're only really closed for like 3 months.
I was going to say, what's the operating season in Atlanta area?
For most people, we're open. We start March, and most people come ride March. Everyone else comes in and rides April. Otherwise, then we run through November, through Thanksgiving. This is kind of what we always say.
Yeah. And
we chase for days in December. So we get a few December days, but not many.
Yeah.
And then hard close into December, January, February, and then reopen. So it's not bad.
It's a lot longer than I would have expected.
It's not, but the people that are coming, October, November, or March, April, are like the RDN members, the core. You're not customers.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Public.
Okay. So I got a couple questions on that.
Yep.
One is, so what's your revenue split of like beginners that come to the beginner side of the cable, never done it before, versus like your membership? Like what's, not the numbers, I guess, but like percentages. Like,
I don't mind talking numbers. So at our peak, we were like 170 something members, which is pretty good. I think we can go to off season. We get down to like 100 who kind of stay in the freeze rates with us to go back in. And then we've put some crazy efforts into trying to boost memberships and get people in.
Yeah.
With all that, I think we gained like 10, 15. I mean, it's like, so it's been pretty average. Like we hit anywhere from that 160 to 170 members number. So those are the diehards, people that are staying in, coming a lot, and they come a lot, get a lot of check-ins. The beginners are the core of the business. They're the ones that are coming out. We want to get them in, coming more, but they are the ones bringing in a lot of money. Now, dude, there were some parks that I went to when we were first getting going. I did a little trip driving around that didn't like their members. Like they're like, I hate these kids. Like because they're the problem
They
makers.
pay once and they come with shit ton.
But I
always
didn't
complaining.
like that outlook. So I wanted to go about it a whole different way.
Yeah.
Like they are the ones that are there every day. They're the ones that will volunteer, help with tournaments. They're buying gear from you. They're buying food and beverage or snacks, whatever you have. And then they're the ones that are going to be on the dock teaching the beginner. So it's like pouring into and having great and helping make sure your members understand what you're trying to do and understand the story of like what your business is. Like that goes a long ways. So I think the split from a revenue standpoint, the split probably is take out Aqua Park. If you take out Aqua Park, is probably pretty 50-50. Members are paying less, but then they're buying a lot more
Stuff.
and they're going to stay in for longer. Beginners are paying a premium price, but they're only coming a few times.
Yeah.
And that's how we set it up. Like our day price, like we're expensive, but we have the membership, so it's more financially easy. If the people that are there that want to stay in, that's the best, cheapest way to ride. And then we'll make people on the passerbys or the one-offs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so you mentioned your price. So what is like a day pass for you or 2 hour? What do you guys do? 2 hour, 4 hour all day or just 2 hour all day?
we got rid of the 4 hour.
Yeah, I think it's
We weren't
useless.
doing too many. It's useless. We took a few years ago, we took a totally different approach and thought about it differently. One, I started reading the 2 books, Automatic Customer and Subscribed, which is like subscription stuff. So I approached Pat with this whole concept of doing subscription. So before that was not in the industry at all. No one was doing subscription stuff. So brought it up at one of our WSA events, summit things, and people seemed pretty interested. And I think ODub actually then beat me to it. I think they got theirs out.
Kellen was like, all right, we're on
He's
it.
like, that was great. I'm going to get it. And then ours rolled out shortly after. But so our 2 hour, the normal passes really aren't expensive compared to other parks. It's like a few dollars more. Where what we did, so we have a 2 hour, it went up recently, but I think it was 42. And then instead of having it go 42, 52, 62, I'm like, this is dumb. And then everyone's like, oh, well, they do the 2 hour. This is years of experience learned. They do the 2 hour. They come back. Oh, I want to upgrade to all day. I don't want to just charge you now $20. Like I want you to have paid. What we did basically an all day for us is 2 hours. So buy a 2 hour pass. If you want to ride more, buy another 2 hour pass and we're going to let you ride all day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it's like you want to upgrade. The upgrade, all you do is you buy another 2 hour pass and we're going to let you ride the rest of the day. So you're going to get, mentally, you get the benefit of it. And then so that takes it though to 84 is our day thing.
Okay.
What got expensive was I had someone complain that it was backwards. They kind of messed themselves up. They complained that it was so busy or whatever, and why are we paying this on the weekend and I don't get to ride as much? And I was like, you're right.
I'll charge more.
I'm going to charge more on the weekends.
Yeah.
So it's like, that doesn't mean I need to take my price lower on the weekdays. That means, and weekends at a wake park. And what I realized is we have 8 weekends where we make the majority of the money we're going to make, which is ridiculous. June, July, when school's out, we have 8 weekends to make money. And so, like so many other things, surge pricing, whatever, it's like our weekend rate now. So we basically just added $10. So if you want to come on the weekend, pay 10 more bucks. So, but then you do all those changes. Our all day pass is 90. Like, but I don't think we changed that is what. So the all day and the off season is 60, very normal. And then it goes to 80 in the peak season. So an all day pass is 80 or was, I think we changed a few little numbers and then we added $10 on the weekends. So only peak season on the weekends is when it's like the most expensive. Otherwise it's just like any other park out there, maybe $1 or $2 more here and there. And then our annual pass, we thought was crazy at first. Now, like looking back at all the other parks, everyone's pretty much like right around there. I've never been too scared to be the leader. I think we do have one of the nicest parks. We should actually be able to charge more to the customer. The wake industry can't afford that. And I wanted to have it be to the masses. So it's like it's that fine line of building it that it's accessible to everybody, which is what we want to do, but also having to pay your bills. And
yeah, I feel like there's a lot to talk about here because I think it's a lot of pricing depends on where you are.
Yeah.
So
you're
in a very Terminus is located in a nice area,
Yes.
if I'm correct, right? So
And nearby, even nicer.
okay.
So we have what's like the John's Creek moms. It's like I think John's Creek is one of the nicest places, or most expensive places you can live, like in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so it's like their expectation of what they're going to take their kid to, which is part of me like trying to keep such a beautiful, clean aesthetic.
They're
like,
not so much looking at the price; they're looking at what the experience is going to be, and they'll pay the price.
They don't care about the price.
So I guess a lot of people listening to that probably gonna be like $90 for a day pass. That's insane because a lot other wake parks, won't touch that for the most part.
It'd be 60.
They're going to be worried like that. I think some people's thoughts are like, oh, that's going to push people away. But if you're seeing people pay that and you have a busy park for those 8 weekends where you're charging that,
Yeah.
kind of null and void that point, right? Because it's like I could charge 100.
Which is why
Still
we
be
also
busy.
too did the off season and peak season.
Yeah.
Because we have to for those few months. We got to make money so that we can be open the rest of it. And then why we drop the price? Like we go back down and then our memberships follow the same pricing.
Yeah.
I was so tired of this throwing random numbers at stuff. So I was like, okay, let's put some math to it. Our lowest level membership, you come 2 times a month. Once you do the enrollment fee, you come 2 times a month. It's paid for, and it's a 2 hour. So that's 2 42s. That's $84.
Yeah.
Then add weekends. You want to come on weekends? Add one more pass for all weekends for the whole month. So it's 126 or whatever it is. Another $42. And then, but when we go to peak season, whatever those math or whatever those numbers do change, the membership follows. So the worst one is our all day pass because it goes to peak and has the $10 add on. It's and variable 3. So it's 3. You're buying 3 all day passes. But again, the math is the same. So if you're going to come and you're going to be a member, all you're buying is 3 all day passes, which you're very happy to buy anyways. But now you can ride all month.
Yeah.
And then the passes price is membership even is going to drop back down in the off seasons. So
Yeah. And I think that it's important to remember that, like, for the people who are listening to this who wakeboard a lot, the memberships at wake parks, the value, I think, is incredibly high. And I think people often overlook at truly how high that value is for what you get.
when you look at rideable days or whatever, I think we're down to well under $7 a day, $6-something a day for if riding all day.
Yeah, and you want to do cost per lap, like it's insane.
Yeah.
So point of that story is, well, day passes may seem expensive at wake parks, and they are. $90 is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, like I probably wouldn't pay that if I'm driving through.
It's hard.
But if you're talking about people who are actually trying to get into wakeboarding in that area, they're willing to pay that. And then the membership has a great value.
They don't want to. I don't want them paying that all the time. I want them to get into the membership.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to shift them into
that,
that next thing. So okay, I was very interested in that. And then also on pricing and reservations, I guess you don't do like a reservation model, do you? You can just show up and ride.
We did with COVID.
Yeah.
And we kept it going. It's very helpful. It's very helpful from a business perspective because you can look ahead, staff know what to do. If the weather's coming up, you can then like know who's coming or close. If you got to
Block it
or
off.
no one's there,
Yeah.
you can then see that no one's booked and then leave, or like if no one's coming. So, but we went away from it. So
Why's that?
Customer experience. I wanted to give the customers a better experience, and it would serve its purpose for so long. Now you can book on the website.
Sure.
You can book, and I love sneaking in like where it is actually like $5 cheaper on the website.
Yeah.
To like that kind of stuff versus just showing up into the shop. But just simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, and there's been so many things in the last few years that we're growing the business, doing things, trying things. Like things got very complicated, and even now we're stripping it back. This year we're changing some stuff, and we're going to try to simplify it down even more.
The number one rule my dad always said is just make it easy for your customers to give you money. And if you got to run them through a reservation before they even do this thing, you probably just lost some people.
Which is why, too, I hate the waiver. I wish that it was like snowboard parks. I wish we had a big lobbying industry that could go in and like push this whole thing through. So it's like by buying the ticket.
Well, in Michigan, if you buy a lift ticket, that is your waiver. And
That's
it's
it.
like backed by the government. It's like, you're
and
good.
it's so annoying.
Yeah.
It really is. And Germany, I don't think it's that way in like some of those Euro parks.
I don't think I signed a waiver when I
Yeah.
rode. Yeah. So
I've been to plenty of parks and not signed a waiver, and they just let you through. A little ridiculous, but
it is sometimes. Okay. I got a lot more. I mean, a few more things on this. We got some Patreon questions. So we got one from Adam Bruce, and we talked about some international parks, but he's wondering if there's anything you've seen that other parks have implemented or you guys have implemented that have like really paid dividends in terms of the success of your park or other parks you've seen.
and I learned something from every park there's something someone's doing that's better than you. So whenever I go anywhere, I try to get my staff to this too, because I can't be everywhere. When you're there, I'm like, I'll buy your pass. Like if they learn something, like I want to give them, my team members, like if you go out and learn something. So man, I try. What's weird about me, there's a lot of stuff from parks that I do learn. I try to not look at parks to learn. I look outside the industry. I'm looking at, it can be anything. I'm pulling from just a different experience stuff, surf park stuff. Obviously that's like the elite of what we do. So if we can steal stuff from them, it's great, but some stuff is just not practical. So many of the Euro parks are doing phenomenal stuff. River sent me a picture from one park after, I think it was after 313 that she went to. It's like this epic restaurant, like total badass looking. Food was incredible. And it's like on a wakeboard. It's like, I wish we could have that. It looks like Crate and Barrel or a Restoration Hardware cable park. Like it's sick. But no, there really is. I've been to so many places. I was at Nona last year, saw how they were doing some aqua park stuff, very simple, and we then simplified ours down. I am very rule following and want to make sure stuff is very safe. And I was like going way over the top, like with documentation and people in and out of the water and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, versus just like simple counts and head counts and stuff. Was that Quest? Got something good from Quest. Like there's something.
Well, and I think when you go to a park, that thing will just jump out to you. You don't go looking for it. It's like, oh, you're doing that well.
And it can be bad.
Or you're doing that really bad.
There's been plenty of
jump
bad.
Out fast.
There's been plenty of places I go to and it's like, go get your rentals. It's like a pile of vests and like no one's helping you. There's a bunch of issues like that too. But yeah, there's not a place that I go to that I'm not picking something up from.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. As a business owner, that's how it goes. So speaking of other parks, do you believe in competition of cable parks? So I talked to Kellen. He's the operations manager at OWC, MWC here in Florida, and he doesn't really believe in competition between cables. No. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. The more the merrier. Obviously, if you have one literally across the street from you, probably competition at that point. But it's just not going to happen. Yeah. As long as everyone's doing a great job, so it can also be the opposite. So it can be everyone helping everybody. Like we just need more and more people in the sport. So if Valdosta's getting people in, they're probably at some point going to come ride Terminus.
Yeah.
All the people at Terminus want to go ride Valdosta. And so it's like you're helping each other no matter what. And so it's not competition. I know it can be harder probably at the parks in Texas that are a lot closer and maybe you're fighting, but we want to go try it all. Everything's different feature. Like I would go to a park just because they have one feature that I want to go try and go ride. So you're going to have something, if you differentiate yourself just a little bit, like everyone's going to be helping everybody. Now it can go the other way too, where if someone's not doing something great or something happens, something's in the news, someone dies at a cable park. Don't want that to happen. Hopefully won't. But it's like, then that's negative for everybody because it's now all of a sudden there's fear for the industry as a whole or whatever it is. So I think that we live and die together pretty much. Really? It's so small. We need to be helping each other no matter what. That's why I love talking shop with people. I love talking to the owners. We'll talk numbers. We'll talk ideas, whatever it is. Like we try to help each other the absolute best we can. Any processes, anything I come up with is like our stuff. I'll send it to you. Like you want a copy of our emergency action plan because you open a park and you need to make sure you have something good and safe. Like I'll send it to you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
In fact, we use that and a bunch of other stuff when the WSA group was putting together our like board. We'd put together a whole bunch of like best practices and we're all just trying to help each other, making sure that we're doing the best we can. So
I like that.
Yeah.
So a couple more cable park questions. If you could open the perfect wake park, what would it look like? Unlimited money. You kind of touched on, you got a restaurant, that's that other, but I asked that to Kellen and he had like 3 different plans he had like 3 different specific cable park plans that he would build.
I love what we have.
Yeah.
I would, if property was flipped, that'd be better. So the operators are not looking into the sunset. So didn't realize that when we're building everything. Literally we look west, dead west.
Yep.
And so sunset, our guys are like, we need a sunglass company to sponsor us so bad. So I love what we have. I love the dual. I know it's not practical all the time, but I love having two because you have a dedicated beginner lake, a dedicated advanced lake. If one goes down, which happens, then just split it real quick, run halftime. You need a great food and beverage. The things I would improve on at ours, I would do an epic walk path all the way around with some workout stations. So you could like go do that, get ready, kind of warm up your body. We've tried that. I've pushed sponsorship on that a lot, but it's a lot of money to get that thing paved. It's a 3/4 of a mile to go all the way around.
Sick though.
It'd be so sick.
Yeah.
A little bit of surf, have like a unit there. Great aqua park. I know whether they get used or not. I just love the idea of it, like ropes course, anything that's adventure. I love water. I love water sports and all water sports. That's why I love surf and I love the things. I'm not a good surfer. I suck at surfing. I can wake surf, real surfing. I suck. I finally got up once, surfed all the way and fell. Jellyfish right on my face. That was the first actual wave I caught. Yeah. Anyway.
That's tough.
It sucked. I think that what we have going on is actually pretty epic because we did put some dollars behind it. I love the turf all the way around. Can't afford to do it again, but I'm happy that we have it. Great food and beverage. That's the one thing I want, to be able to hang out. Good, healthy, awesome food, have a beer, sit and chill. Sounds heavenly.
Yeah.
So, and then living. I've always wanted to put containers in our hill and like have some actual accommodations. I think having that so you can stay on site. 313 is doing it perfect. Like it looks epic. I know it's blown out and windy some. I haven't gotten to do it. Love to.
It looks windy, cold, but
I still
looks awesome.
I still want to go. And then CWC really was the pinnacle too back in the day. I don't know if they still are. I think it's coming back and looking
it's
really,
make
really
a little
good.
bit of push to come back. Yeah.
I would love to still get to actually go experience and do that. But like staying in those containers, just looks good. So be able to stay, eat, live, play. Sounds perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's so we are going to go take some laps at OWC after this, but let's talk setup.
Okay.
So you've been a Liquid Force guy for it's been a minute now. After the CW days, probably was that. So
yeah, I rode for CW from I think like 01 or 02. I got to hang out with Zane last night. It was so good to see him. He was that first sponsor. CWB for 10 years. And then I've been doing this for 30. So I started in 95. Started wakeboarding in 95. So this next year is my 30th year wakeboarding, which is nuts.
Gotta do something cool for that.
That'd be fun. So and then switched to Liquid. So massive props to Matt Long. Matt Long's the Southeast rep in Atlanta area and a whole Southeast, but he's been a buddy. I remember one day my dad took me to just go see him. I forget all the other brands he did. I got to ride one of the first balsa cord like trip boards way back in the day. They were so light, but they'd break like crazy. And so got hooked up with him. And then I don't think I started riding until about 09 is when I switched. Okay. Yeah. And so I've been with them since. And then they are the absolute best. Like supporter, they like to do rad stuff, have fun. They're always looking for cool things to do. And then it's been fun to be like a R&D place for them, like having fun. Great park for them to get to come bring people, events, test stuff. So yeah, I've been on Liquid Force myself as a rider since 09. Whatever that is.
Long time.
And
you guys are at Liquid Force Park too. So
and we're Liquid Force Park. So for the longest time, we didn't even touch any other brands, even sell them in the shop or anything. Yeah. I realized that we needed to. The customers wanted it. So we started selling pretty much anything, Ronix. And we never did Hyperlight. Eddie Beverly's like such a good buddy that I grew up with, and we just never had Hyperlight stuff.
Do you still not?
I still don't. We don't sell that much. So it's hard. And then primarily Liquid Force, Slingshot for sure. Adam's been phenomenal. But yeah, I cannot say enough stuff about Matt and his support for me and the sport as a whole. Me and him have been the one, because I like had that old school contract day with C-Dub, like I was not their like top pro rider, but they still had me sign a contract.
Yeah.
So like I got to sign a contract and like that felt.
Do you still have that?
Oh yeah. Okay. I found it somewhere.
Sick. I was going to say, gotta keep that.
And it said what it did, said what I had to do. And so I kept that going forward. So with my young kids, and I wanted to have a team. Ambush put that into me big. Like Ambush had their team. And they did so much good stuff. Diamond was running that thing, and still does, different ownership, but the Lees, and they had a team. And so like when I started the park, I wanted to have a team. Like we're just a wakeboard park. We're a facility, but I wanted to have a team. So we've always had a Terminus team, and that always basically was a Terminus Liquid Force team, like Southeast regional riders. Yeah. So, and then Rivers broke through to the top.
So what do you got?
On Virago right now. So that Virago Limited
What size? What size?
51.
52.
I think it's 52. Sorry.
Oh boy, there you
52. 12. I think, I don't know how you measure it. I always do mine bolt to bolt since I'm on the 6X. So Arrow 6X bindings. I've been in their walkables for so long, but being the old school
You don't need them
rider,
in Terminus.
You don't need a Terminus. And now turf gets hot, but
Just got to run.
I rode these bindings a little bit ago, like a year or two ago on my boat board. Fell in love with them. They're so comfortable, so light. And I loved actually finally after having the booties on for so long, being able to take my foot out and walk around.
It is kind of nice.
It was nice. And then the setup's all good to go. So like you just go in and go. So
Yeah.
bolt to bolt on the 6X, I think is 16. I don't know if you go to, how do you actually measure?
I'm an
Is
eyeball guy. I'm not a, I don't put numbers to it.
I know. So 12, even stance.
Yep.
Used to be ducked out,
Full duck all
slammed
the way,
out.
yep.
Yeah. Brought it in. It's pretty much all with the 6X on the flex track. It's pretty much as close in as you can
Pretty
go,
much all the way in, okay.
which is not super close.
Yeah.
And then 12.
Nice.
So
It's just this is a classic setup.
that's good.
I think.
I know.
Yeah.
Solid.
Virago's a good board. I like the Virago. Got one right back here.
Right there.
All right. I mean, so I guess how often are you riding these days? Because obviously, I mean, how much time are you spending at Terminus? Like, what's
Yeah. This year was hard because I wasn't there as much. I was there 1 to 2 days a week.
yeah?
Used to be 7 days a week,
Classic.
sun up to sundown. But man, I not as much as I should. I would love, and this is minimal. I would love to get on the water once a week, and I don't do that. So it's once.
Let's do that. Let's make that happen next year.
Good grief! That's how easy is that? Just to
Once a week.
and to stop. My stuff's out at the dock. To grab it and go do 10 laps. That's like 10 minutes,
all
and
you
then I
need.
can get back to the work and the
Yeah.
business. I just get so stuck in making sure that everything else is operating good for others. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to run the play like when it's your place and you want it to run right and you want it to look right and to be serving other people. You're just nonstop like,
Hey, Terminus employees, next time you see Chase roll up, just tell him to go ride.
please.
And then that might be all he needs. Just a little push.
And then I'll probably stop and go do it. It brings me so much joy. It's like to stop and go ride for 10 minutes. Like I'm probably going to be a better boss, So I should.
Yeah.
You really should.
It's a little water therapy.
Tell me to go ride. If you see me doing anything else, scooping algae or something,
If you scoop an algae, definitely tell
tell me
him
to go ride.
Cleaning bathrooms, go ride.
Good grief. So yeah, not as much as I should. I rode boat, I think 8 to 10 times this year, which is the most I had in a minute
yeah.
after starting the park. Had an Axis T235 this year and then getting a 23 LSV for this next year. So excited.
There you go. Number one selling wake surf boat, 23 LSV right there.
Yeah, it's great. It's good. I love that the kids get to do it now too.
One last Patreon question from Rich Wheeler, and he's just wondering about general cable park growth. Like, what do you think in the United States we need to see more cable parks, pop up and continue to grow?
The thing that we always love is community events, fun things, local things. It gets those people in. They want to bring their friends. So anything you can be doing, cable parks aren't doing their own stuff. Most of them are always doing a phenomenal job, but we just did our 2025 calendar. So we have everything lined out, all the events we're going to be doing, Wake League stuff, all of our own fun stuff, moms and mimosas, and all the good things. We do the mimosas after everyone always.
Oh,
I know.
yeah. Moms then mimosas.
Yes. Yeah. And then we did all of our big stuff, our big charity event that we do at the end of the year, last laps, the film contest. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a sick contest. If you guys haven't checked that out, I'll put
for judging for us. We always I try to bring in some really weird, fun celebrity judges and different stuff just because the kids love it. They love to know it's like Hunter watching my
It's
videos.
all these little things. They all add up.
Thank you
Yeah,
for being a part of that.
I'll always watch some wakeboarding.
And that is what it is, because that's going to get more people to be in.
Yeah.
We literally had a little girl this year had just started. She got to be on a team. She landed a flip and her first flip this year. And she was on a video. It's like, she's already like making edits,
Yeah.
like she's not making an edit, but she's in it. And then she's going to be like
It's
a
huge.
diehard for forever. So
It's huge.
those community events is some of the best stuff you can do.
Yeah.
So
And put effort and try. Like the community events you guys do and the grassroots stuff you guys do is you put effort into it. It's
You're
not
gonna
just
have to
like,
spend some money.
hey, sign up and come and we'll judge you on a lap. It's like,
yeah.
okay, more than that. You guys do
And then
more than
again,
that.
I'm going to try to make it myself. I got a really nice projector and screen. We're going to like make it into this like awesome big event, bring some lights in, like make it bigger, make the kids love it, and then do it again next year.
Yeah, make it feel important.
Yeah.
Because it is. Sweet. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anybody you want to thank here?
No, I mean, It's so fun for me. I mentioned a little bit earlier, but like getting to do life, do business with these people is so fun. I joke with my team. Pretty much all we do is we spin kids in circles, right? Like that's what Cable Parks do.
Yeah.
We spin the kids in circles. But there's a bigger opportunity. I mean, there's opportunity to pour into those people, to create friendships. I get to do it with the staff. I get to do it with my kids now. My kids are doing it. My son is ripping, doing his own little edits and fun stuff. Most of the ideas come from my wife. She's the creative. She's the amazing one. But yeah, so she brings them to work, and because Tiffany works there, my wife works there too, like does all the back end operation stuff.
Sick.
She's the one designing all the swag and everything. She did it a lot back in the day. So she's the one working with Quint at STZ and doing stuff. And so it truly is, we're still getting to do it as a family, but the thing that brings me the most joy personally is getting to watch Little Ripper do laps.
You want to get in here? Yeah, come say what's up. Come on, bro. He's got the Terminus shirt on. Yeah, there you go. Wave to all the cameras. There you go.
That's Hayes. So Hayes is awesome. He's at the park. And again, to good people at the park, we trust him to be out there. The employees are going to have fun with him. And truly, like, you built a home for people away. Some people have bad homes. So the fact that we get to be that home to them, I take seriously. And we care for our people. We care for my employees. We care for every single customer that comes through the park, and hope that we can continue to grow people, get people on boards, get people in the water, have some fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's sick. Hayes, I got one question for you. You want to come answer it real quick? What is your favorite grab? We need it.
My favorite grab is Indy.
Here, say that one more time just so we get in the mic. There you
My
go.
favorite grab is Indy.
Love it.
How come?
Because it's really easy to do off the kicker. You just have to bend your knees and just grab it. It's really simple and easy.
I love it. Getting them started young on the Indy. I like it. That's good. Important. Thank you so much.
Good job, bro.
I like your answer better than your dad's.
Yeah, I know. It's true. The rest of the community will too.
We'll put a vote here.
Yeah. Nick or Indy. Indy for sure.
Indy for sure. I mean, yeah, anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap this up? Thanks a ton for coming on. This was a this was a blast.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Getting to do it. Mom continue to push the inspiration and having fun. She still gets out there and does some laps out there with us on her trick ski, her slalom trick.
Yeah.
She's doing good. So massive thanks to them. My sisters continue to push me as a brother. All the guys, business owners that have been around me to continue to pour into me as a business owner and entrepreneur. All the guys at Remedy, Jamie and Dan and Andrew and Sean, all those guys that helped grow that thing, which then led to this. Can't thank the guys who helped me start Terminus enough, Jeff and Adam and Cole and Jesse and Jeremy, diehards there. And then the two people that were with me for the longest, Casey Ettinger and Savannah Staples, doing all the marketing and events and all that stuff. She's badass. And then Jackson now running the ship.
Killing it, Jackson.
Yeah, keeping that thing afloat, keeping it going, making the community better than it has, even too. Like, he's a fun dude. So, and then every single one of our managers, we have manager teams, and they pour into the people below them. And so we truly do. We got some of the best people. It's fun for me to get to work alongside them. Massive thanks to anyone who's come out, been involved, gotten to be a part of Terminus. No, just I am doing this thing for 30 years.
Yeah.
Getting to have the park now for 12. Every day you realize more and more how grateful you are for the life you get to have, for the fact that we get to do this thing called wakeboarding, and we get to share with others.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love doing it.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming on. There was some good wisdom, some good stories in there. I was looking forward to this one. It was very fun, and I'm excited to go take some laps with you guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Let's go do it.
So thanks everyone for watching, listening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to rate it 5 stars. That helps a ton. And if you're interested in supporting the podcast, join the Patreon or share with a friend. Thanks so much. See you guys next time.
Yoo.